Doing it. We're doing it live.
Doing it live.
As always, it's the show. I'm making sure it's live before I do the proper intro. I hope we don't have any problems with the Wi-Fi here at this hotel.
It's not good.
I was having a little bit of trouble when we were watching these shows, but it didn't seem so bad. It didn't seem unworkable.
There we go.
Hopefully everything's gonna be okay. Shout outs to
I hope
everybody in
everything's
chat.
gonna be okay.
Amy Talks Annie, who just launched a similar show to this. Ellen Huraisen, always our Discord admin, who keeps the peace, makes sure people know what the hell.
Ellen got to ban someone for the first time this week.
Amazing.
She did a great job.
Good job. Evil Rhoda, shout out everybody who's here. All right, let's just do it. We watch anime.
We watch anime, and today we're going to be starting the podcast off with something very special. So
oh no, what are you doing to me?
I'm handing Beatrice a small bottle, white and green, with the word Underberg written on it. These are...
This is how this podcast episode starts.
Yes, correct.
This is a show where we watch anime every week.
Well, it's the birds and the bees section, so
Yeah.
here we are, birds and the bees.
We are bird and bee. This is the birds and the bees.
Oh shit, right, we didn't even introduce ourselves. I just got straight into the I want to make you try something gross. So, Underberg, they're natural herb bitters. They are alcoholic, but you're supposed to drink them after you have a meal. I have not done that any time I've tried them, but it does make your stomach feel good. I have not seen them anywhere in the United States outside of Seattle, so that is interesting. But
bitters is just for sale?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, you can buy bitters for sale too. I don't think this is going to be bitters like you think it's going to be bitters.
I don't know what I'm drinking. Bird handed me something that says Underberg on it.
They're
it's
natural herb bitters.
It's like a shot glass size.
It's 20 milliliters. 44,
is this alcoholic?
44%.
Oh my
yes.
god, this is very alcoholic. This is a shot. This is just a fucking shot. I thought this was gonna be like doing kombucha or something.
Underberg is.
You said it was good for your stomach.
It
is
is
44% alcohol.
It literally says on the bottle after a good meal.
All right, everybody. So we're gonna start this show by downing what I've been told is a disgusting shot that makes your stomach feel better. Question mark.
That's what it is. So it's
I did have birria nachos.
Water, 44% alcohol, natural flavors from herbs and roots of the genus I can't even read that.
Let's just drink this fucking thing.
Gentiana.
All right,
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Nose.
You shouldn't do that.
Oh god, it drinks so slow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, I don't know if I can finish it. Oh
You have
shit.
to.
I got halfway in and I'm on fire and everything.
So, the biggest problem with these things is the bottle they come in has a hole that's maybe
It's so tiny.
It's smaller than a regular pencil.
It's like a dropper glass.
And so the bottle even tells you, drink all of this at once. It's physically impossible to do it with a bottle. But yeah.
No, I can't do it.
I guess maybe I don't mind it as much because I like licorice and stuff
it's
like
so
that.
bad.
It's very... That's an absurd ABV to gulp down. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
So what have we
Christ.
done? What's new with you, Trixie?
We had such a long week this week.
I know.
We did last week's show. I don't remember what we did last Sunday, if anything. It's Monday was so disruptive because we had to drive 3.5 hours back into Oregon to do 15 minutes worth of work,
But it needed to be done that day, so...
and then come back to Olympia. And on the way, we stopped by the strange mansion we had been staying at.
It's a nice mansion.
And met the homeowner / our boss's wife, and it was...
She was great. We got to meet her dogs, too.
We ate dinner, and
she made tarik for us. I'd never had tarik before, but, like the rice where it's crunchy
Yeah.
at the bottom.
To say the least, she's a talkative person. We were there for about 3.5, 4 hours, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we
No, we got there at
and then
like
I drove
5:30 and we left at 10,
3.5
right?
hours back, it was only 2 hours from Portland, but yeah. So anyway, we were staying in Olympia, beautiful place.
We love Olympia.
Incredibly trans. Probably the most trans people by population density I've seen in a city, especially of its size. It's not a large city. It just happens to be an hour and a half south of Seattle. Well, I guess an hour south if there's not traffic.
It's kind of like an hour west of Seattle, more realistic.
Okay.
Because it's like half
southwest
south,
of
half west.
Yeah.
Because Seattle's in a big bay.
Basically,
and so
like Seattle sprawl starts in the north, and then it goes down to Tacoma, which is like the next large distinct city. But like if you look at the two of them on a map, it might as well just be one thing. Like it's pretty built out, this here shoreline of Washington, reaching down to Olympia. And we were working through all of that for the last 2 weeks. So we basically got to see all of these cities that are in the Seattle metropolitan area. Very nice place. Bar none, the gayest place in America. We've been all over it. This is a place where...
They should, you know how, like, Portland's keep Portland weird? It should be keep Seattle gay.
The buildings in Seattle, very conventional buildings that you would find anywhere in the country, will have stickers on them that say, like, this is a protected...
It's Seattle Police Department, and it says we report crimes against LGBT people.
Yeah, so there's like
a safe place.
Like a little rainbow heart, like, seal on the buildings, and it's like, having been working with buildings all over America, never seen this. Same buildings, never seen this. Buildings. Yeah.
My job is simply buildings.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've come to really like it being up here in North Washington.
It's very nice. I would live here very, like, as soon as the podcast enables us to.
It's funny how night and day the impression was from Portland, which I didn't really care for. No. Portland, like, there are cool things about Portland in that it's multicultural. It does have a lot of gay people. It has like good restaurants and stuff, but it's just so expensive. Also, it's very dirty. Well, because also the thing about Oregon is they just don't clean up brush. Like, they don't clean foliage.
Yeah.
Everything is unkempt everywhere you go. It's like nature is spilling out into the places, which is kind of cool. It makes you feel like you're in a forest or on a mountain. Which
my very first impression of Portland when I had visited there 2 or 3 years ago was like, we didn't move anything. We just literally came in here, maybe threw up some roads, and then put houses where it air kind quotes
of
makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of just stuff in between the houses. Lots of impassable mountainside trails and stuff.
Yeah, and most of it is impassable just because it's a huge park. They have the big forest park, and that is very cool. I'd explored that a little more when I was there 2 years ago. But we went on a little walk in it, and it was really nice.
We went down to the witch's cabin.
I like the Seattle approach of it more, which is just like quantity of parks.
Yeah.
There's so many parks out here.
Everything that's not the built-out part of Washington State is a protected national park that is fucking massive. So there's completely just surrounding this area is nothing but big mountains, big volcano mountains that have national parks built around them. All of which I would love to visit. So, I turned 32, right? Only 32? I keep wanting to say 34 or something. I feel like time is moving fast and slow to me at the same time, but I was just expecting to be 32 for so long that hitting it didn't mean anything. It was no, I already thought I was 32.
I feel like you've been 31 for at least a year.
I mean, you would think, but it somehow seems even longer to me. I don't know. What did we do on my 32nd birthday?
We went out for sushi.
We've got some fucking amazing sushi at a place in Olympia. Some of the best sushi I've ever had.
It's very good. There was my one complaint about that
Koi
place.
Bito. We went there because it's called Lovers, and I was like, hey.
My one complaint, their caterpillar roll was not as cute as it was advertised on the menu.
It was still cute.
It was still cute. I'm not saying it wasn't cute. But yeah, it was a nice place. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's the only time I've ever walked into a sushi place and seen 4 old Japanese clear sushi chefs working there, and I was just
we do need to live in Olympia. This is gonna
be real sushi. That's crazy. And then it was quite good, especially for it wasn't crazy expensive or anything.
But it was your birthday, so we kind of splurged a little bit.
Yeah, we got some extra stuff.
We did something other than that though, didn't we?
We fucked and
you're
passed out for
I gave
24
Beatrice,
hours.
I gave her that, quote, S-tier dick, is how it was described on Twitter.
S-class.
S-class, I apologize.
You are an S-class?
I'm an S-class.
It's a reference to the fingers around my dick video, my favorite YouTube video of all time.
But so anyway.
Please look it up if you haven't seen it before. watch it until you've memorized it like me, so you can reference it all the time.
Then we fell asleep. And
I don't think we did anything else.
No,
I can't remember.
Absolutely not. I was really burnt out. I've been really burnt out. I think all the work is catching up to me.
Well, then we ended up working our way up into Seattle, and just like taking a lot of long walks around our hotel and stuff, and fucking.
Oh, there was one day. I don't remember which day it was, but we had I think it was last week when we did the podcast, right? Yeah, that's what we did on Sunday. We went and hung out with Marcus. So last week after we did the podcast,
okay,
I could not fall asleep, and
yeah, you had insomnia because our podcast ended at like fucking 9 a.m. or something like that last week.
And so then
that's why we didn't even like this week. It would have not been a fucking thing. It would have been even like. We would have had to stay up so late trying to finish all those anime because we were so fucking hungover on Saturday.
I was fucked.
We'll get there.
But so on Sunday, you fell asleep, and I was just kind of trolling about the room in the hotel. I was like, well, what do I do now? And so I was like, well, I guess I'll go smoke for a little bit. And so I went down and I smoked for a little bit. I came back up, I had a beer, and I thought, well, what do I do now? And then my brain said, go on a 3-mile walk.
So yeah, by the time
I was exhausted. It's not
like,
that I wasn't tired, I just couldn't get to sleep. So I was like, well, this will make me go to sleep.
I probably only had like 6 or 7 hours of sleep myself, but when I woke up, you were like calling me from being like a mile away from the house.
I had to walk up the hill. That's
sounding
what it was.
Totally dead tired. And I'm just like, what the fuck have you done? So then, like, I get down to the car, and you're, like, passing out in the passenger
I was just, like,
seat.
half laying out of the car, wasn't I?
We had planned to go to my friend Marcus's house and have, like, a barbecue. Of course, we canceled the barbecue aspect because we quickly realized this was not happening. Bird was not going to cook. He was going to sleep. So basically, Bird slept at Marcus's house while I talked to him and his housemate for, like, hours. And then, then we did that whole other thing on Monday. And then we did my birthday. And then had all this work in Seattle.
Honestly, though, it only took me 1 hour and 4 minutes to do that walk.
And then on Friday, it just so happened that a friend of mine, an excellent musician called Jeff Burgess, was performing his very last concert before retiring as a musician to become a nuclear
something or other. Let's not say too much.
And we were like, we're gonna be in town. We'll go see this last performance. And so we went to Everfree Northwest.
Regency
Yes, Everfree Northwest, a pony convention that has been running for like as long as I've known about pony conventions.
I mean, so this is the only convention I've ever been to outside of Too Many Games, and I usually work Too Many Games. So this was my first kind of con experience, and wow, they like had this whole hotel, and this hotel's massive. Like there's a mall in it, there's bars, but most of it was devoted to this pony convention.
Yeah,
which was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot.
It was a funny thing because we basically knew we were just gonna go to this con for the purposes of see this Jeff Burgess show and see how many cute trans girls we can meet. And we accomplished these goals rapidly. And then we got really fucking drunk.
I would say I was getting drunk in the process of the goals.
We never actually made it. We bought tickets, never made it to registration.
No, and actually
never got actual badges
because registration was closed, and they were like, "Well, what do we do?" And
let me tell you how a couple of anime rock stars show up to a pony convention. All right, we turn up at 8:30 at night.
We
on
immediately
the one night
start
we're
drinking
buying tickets for.
And not going to registration.
Before we even get to registration, Jeff.
Jeff did
and
just
screams out,
Trixie, the Golden Witch!
Both of us have like a fucking panic attack immediately, like, oh no, what's happening? Oh, it's you. So then we just hung out with his group of friends and got drunk with them at like this bar that's inside the hotel.
It's called Sweet. They had a ribbon dancer at one point during the night, which was very cool. Very, very cool also. I ordered 1 espresso martini and magically got 2.
We saw the tail end of a show where a really cute girl came out on stage and ripped out some fucking screamo vocals that I was highly into, and then Jeff did an amazing show, and then we followed him to the Berry Tube drinking room,
which was
and
great.
we got shit fucking canned in the Berry Tube drinking room.
There was a guy dressed as Dionysus at the door checking IDs. That was pretty sweet.
Around 2:00 when they closed that.
Oh, yeah.
We evacuated into the halls. We lost track of everybody that we knew at this point. Bird fell out.
I lost track of my memory at this point.
Bird fell out in the men's room.
I was blackout.
A couple of con staff kind of helped us
God
get
bless
him
them.
out of there. You know, I met these couple of guys who helped both. I mean, I was also fucking shit-faced.
Yeah.
So, like, I wasn't really in a position to try to by myself help you get to the car.
When I get blackout drunk, I get a little too silly for life. Which means, like, I'll just decide, hey, I'm going to lay down right here, and I'm not going to think about the momentum it takes me as I just plummet myself to the ground. Yeah. This would be a comfy place to lay down, so I'm just going to do it.
You're just looking at me with, like, the scars on your face.
I got, like, a pretty good...
It might not be a scar.
It's not a scar. It's just, like, an abrasion. I probably scraped my face against something. I've got something on my elbow, bumps on my head. Yeah, this isn't great, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging anyone to mimic this behavior.
Do it.
I'm actually saying it specifically so that I can be embarrassed about it as I look back on it.
You were so nervous about going to the pony convention and having your purple sparkly
I did have some
eyeshadow.
Big ass makeup going on. You can find that on my Twitter @birdstore.
That you were already, like, I had to drive us to the convention because you were already too drunk to drive to the convention. So then we drank all night at the convention. So by the end of the night, you were completely gone. And I was close. So these two guys, they help us get you to the car. Luckily, we were just parked directly under the hotel.
Yeah, we got a really good parking spot.
I don't know. At some point, I guess we must have gone outside, because I have a photo I took of you at 3 a.m. Laying in these bushes.
I think we came across some of the people we'd met, and we were just smoking cigarettes out there, because that's where we've been smoking cigarettes the rest of the night.
And then I guess the other two guys just hung out too. Like
I don't remember.
It doesn't. None of it adds up to me. Like, I don't know if I thought I had to go outside to get to the car before realizing it was, because you don't have to. So I don't know. I have no memory of taking the photos that I have of you at 3 a.m. in these fucking bushes outside this hotel.
I also recall, or rather, I don't remember doing this, but the next day, I was looking at the texts I had sent just to see if there was anything I don't remember sending, and I had sent something to you to the effect of, I was just treated like royalty walking into the men's restroom. This was before I was blackout, this was before I fell over. And I have no fucking clue what I meant by that.
You probably were being helped out of the men's room.
No. It was before all that.
Okay.
It was like at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know what you meant by that either. As I remember that text. Yeah, no, it was a good.
It was a great time.
It was a good party night. You know, I get the sense, had we been there all weekend, maybe we would have spent more time with some of the people we met, but we literally only signed up for one day because we were planning to do the podcast on Saturday. That didn't happen, obviously, since it's Sunday as we were recording this.
Yes, it is. Incredibly late and even gayer than ever.
We got Bird to the car.
It did happen.
At some point, you were, like, hitting your head on the what the fuck is it called? The thing you put your stuff in.
The glove box.
Glove box. And those guys kind of got scared.
Okay, that does make sense. Yeah. No, I have had a bump there. I would get scared too. Yeah. I act like a crazy person.
So they kind of fucked off, and then you pretty much passed out.
Yeah.
I got into the car. I threw up a couple times in the parking lot. Also, I think I pissed a couple times in the parking lot.
Hey, you know.
The garage. But, you know, nobody was around, and there weren't any cameras. So at like 9 a.m. We finally woke up. You saw the broken windshield that I had not even noticed until this point.
I don't know how it happened. I would, I guess, blame myself because I don't know, but it's broken in a way that I can't guess. It's not.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't look like
it looks like something fell on it, and we were parked next to a bunch of construction materials, so I was like going to go ask the hotels.
There's a lot of possibilities. We don't know how the windshield got splintered.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter as much. No. I can see out of it when I'm driving, and I'll get it fixed when I need
to. It's on the passenger side.
Much more importantly, I lost one of my headphones.
Yeah.
And didn't realize this until we were already back at our hotel. And so I just wanted to pass out and go to sleep. So did Beatrice. We were very done. Yeah. So we got back, and I realized, oh shit, I don't have a headphone. I have to go find my headphone. And so I get upset. We're both upset. And then we fall onto the bed and fall asleep until I would say like 7 p.m. At which point I'm like, oh, we have to go get headphones. And I even get dressed and everything. And then I realize that the small amount of evening light coming into the window is too much for me at all. And so I vomit once and I go back to sleep for another 12 hours.
We slept through all of Saturday. All of the parts that we weren't having manic episodes through, we were sleeping through. So it was
having a real job. Like, I really do just want to do the anime thing all the time.
Well, it would have been a lot easier to prepare for going to a convention and maybe knowing. I mean, it would be very different if we had, say, a room at that convention.
True.
And not 30 minutes away, and therefore have to be sleeping in the car for 6 hours, driving back to the hotel, half insane, and then sleeping for the rest of a day. So yeah, it was a fun night.
Saturday didn't happen. So then
Saturday didn't happen.
Sunday morning we wake up and I'm like, well, I guess we have to go get the headphone now, right? And so keep in mind, it's an AirPod. Not the case, not anything else. It's one single headphone. And I have a general idea of where it is in a massive hotel.
The phone knows that it is still there. We just don't know where it still is, but we had only been to so many places. So we searced all of those places.
It was in none of the places I thought it
was not in any of those places. It was at the place that, honestly, I, like...
expected it to be? Yeah.
Well, because I had even said, like, well, we could just call them and see if the Lost and Found has it.
That is true.
We did not do that. The Lost and Found did have it.
No.
But we checked all the places, particularly that fucking bush. Because I was just like,
yeah.
I have
B
this
has a
photo
picture of me laying down in a bush.
Yeah, with the left ear down, again, taken at 3 a.m. So I'm, like, digging through this bush outside the hotel, like, I know this is the one. But we even went back to the party room, woke up some unfortunate soul who was
he
still blacked
way out of it.
Sunday morning, because they just did the same thing again the next night, I'm sure. Yeah, it was a good time. Everything I expected to happen happened. So I feel like it was. Aside from sleeping through Saturday.
Yeah, that wasn't ideal. And most of my sleeping through Saturday...
losing the fucking windshield. I have no... We got the AirPod back. Anything that was missed or spilling from my purse was found in the car. We spent the whole morning reclaiming our belongings before we marathoned.
It was like the Hangover.
It really was like the Hangover, especially with the hangover part.
Yeah. But it was mostly unfortunate for me, like Saturday. I really hate losing time. Especially to, like, blackout drinking, which is why I need to do it less. But aside from that, like, most of Saturday I was just in, like, an existential hellhole when I was awake, because I wasn't really dreaming. I was too hungover / drunk to dream. So anytime I would wake up, I'd be like, God damn it, we still work this job. God damn it, I have to go to work tomorrow. Can't I just, like, move somewhere and do something else?
Yeah, we're pretty fed up with having to do the day job. Obviously... This podcast, at the level we're doing it right now, there's supposed to be more effort put into this.
Yes.
It is supposed to come out on time. There are supposed to be edited versions of these podcasts that come out consistently. There is supposed to be a consistent bonus episode, which we're still behind on. We've watched, like, 3 episodes of Eizouken so far.
After this, we're going to watch the rest of them. And honestly, I might even push to just have us record it tonight, just to get it done.
That might not be a bad idea. We kind of have time. But we're towards the end of the job that the specific job we had been sent on that started in Iowa and ends here in Seattle. We will be done with that this week. But we have more work lined up for, like, a month and a half. And it's really hard to know if we should, like, from my perspective...
I want to quit this job and just do anime full-time so we can have 2 of these coming out a week and a manga podcast and whatever the hell else we want to be doing on top of that.
Yeah.
The problem with that is this job that we're doing makes us a lot of money.
it makes us a lot of money, but it also costs us a lot of
Yes.
money. And a lot of that is just our own, like, it's that the mental and physical cost of the job, it's draining. It's there are fun things about it. Like, we like all the travel, we like getting to see all these places. Yes, we're literally talking, like, debating about quitting our job live on air right now.
Whatever.
But
we do something.
this
like
is the
this all
conversation that we have about this.
It's been a minute since we've really had a birds and the bees segment where we are functioning.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
have a lot of things to say about ourselves.
Usually we're half dead. This is the first, like, this is like an episode of Zom 100 this week, where we had a week of rest, and now we're coming in with, like, the most strength we've had in a while, because it's, like, a normal time, and we ate.
And we're surrounded by birria restaurants. So,
yeah, birria is good. But, yeah, we do a little quitting, says Zero Two Game. Yeah, like, well, and the issue is, we would love to buy a house, because when you rent a house, your money is just
it's going into nowhere.
It's not going anywhere. When you buy a house, your money is going forward into the future houses you buy. It's an investment opportunity. Problem is, we don't really have investment capital.
Yeah.
Our job, while it pays decently, we also spend a lot of money, and we have to pay our own taxes. So as soon as tax season comes around, a lot of the money we have will just disappear. So it's a matter of, like...
I just want to work at Chick-fil-A again if I'm going to have a regular job. But, like, you don't make as much money as you do at Chick-fil-A.
It's true. But you have more time and opportunity to do things like this, because Chick-fil-A never ate up nearly as much of our fucking time as this job does.
And I tried to make it do that. Like,
and you could even work part-time at a regular job and be able to do this one if you just needed, like, enough money. But, like... we are making more off of this podcast now than I was when I first quit my job to do brony videos back in 2013.
Let's go move back in with your parents.
Well, and, you know, back then I was paying... well, as soon as I quit my job, my dad was charging me $500 a month for rent.
Sure.
So, like, you know, I still had enough on top of paying taxes to put a shitload of money away and to, you know... go out to eat every day and buy manga all the time. Like, I don't know. I made a lot of fucking money at the height of doing my job, but I was all for myself. And, you know, as soon as I involved other people in my life, I quickly went through all that money by continuing to live the same standard as I did by myself with other people. And, you know, right now we're kind of like making enough money to keep the standard of, like, both of us living off of it. But
there's another big thing too with this job that makes it hard to keep the money is if I was cooking food for us constantly, I'm sure our food costs would be down at least half.
It would be way lower. We go out to eat a lot. But
it's really hard to cook out of a hotel.
And granted, a lot of the food we eat, though, is covered by the job.
True.
Like, we just will go out for a second time, or we'll go out to drink. A lot of the money we spend is on, like, going to breweries and dropping, like, $100, or going to...
We're gonna stop that, though.
But that's what we like doing. Like, it's one thing... Like, there's some
we can
level
still
of
like
responsibility.
Going to a brewery and not
this is such a
spend
Zom
$100.
100 conversation to be having now that I'm thinking about it. But it's like, there's a level of, like, gotta be responsible and build towards, like, keeping a structure of livability, I guess. But, like, there's no point in doing it if you're not enjoying yourself at all, you know? Like, because you never know when it's all just going to disappear. And every time we make money, I can't take money seriously.
Yeah.
It just goes so easily. Like, all it takes is, I got injured, you know, or, I made enough money to finally get...
Fortunately, right now, we barely have enough money to cover if one of us gets injured, so we're good on that front.
Yeah, like, would we consider living in a trailer? I mean...
We consider it every day.
We have considered everything. Every single possibility we are always running through. And it's just a question of, like, do we do the job for another month and a half because of the fact that it will make us, like... a lot of money quickly towards the possibility of making a down payment on the house, or do we just go, like, rent something or do something cheap just for the sake of being able to put more focus on this show, trying to make more money doing this, and then, you know, if, like, we can't afford it, then you can just get a job. And
I'm probably going to get a regular job anyway.
I can consider getting a job maybe again.
Well, no, because I think, like, the formula we've had in the past of me working a regular full-time job and you running this aspect of things has worked pretty well. Because it gives you the amount of time you need to do things. It sucks to be away from you, of course, but the biggest problem with living out of a trailer or an RV is consistent Wi-Fi. And there are some solutions, like there's portable routers, but they're almost always limited in the amount of data you can use a month, and I'd rather just pay for a flat fee, you know? And have unlimited data, especially doing what we do, where we have to be watching anime or like, what if we're living in an RV and I want to stream video games or play video games for that matter. So there's a lot to go on there. If we go the RV route, I'm really interested in getting one of the older Toyota RVs. They're usually Winnebagos, but they kind of run the gamut. 22 RE motor. I'd like an automatic transmission, but they don't really seem to exist that much, and manuals, especially manuals with the 22RE, are supposedly bulletproof, so I just need to learn how to drive a manual. The biggest drawback I hear with those is, you know, they have a little bit of trouble chugging up a hill because it's a 4-cylinder and you're tugging an RV, but I don't mind going 50 up a hill. Especially, like, a lot of them, they're a very well-beloved model of RV, and so a lot of them have been renovated, or just for, like, not even for the purpose of being sold, but they've been renovated and shown a lot of love to and taken care of. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking into.
All right, we can't keep talking about this. We'll go on forever. We got to start talking about anime. But first, we have to shout out the patrons who make this show possible. I cannot thank you enough for your patience in all aspects.
Wait, True Fox 1 is on Patreon?
True Fox 1 is now also supporting us on Patreon, I guess.
Wait, both?
I don't know if it's both or if they switched. I'm unclear. But
True Fox 1, go back. Go back to Backbuy.
It still says we have 2 patrons on Backbuy, so I don't know.
Interesting.
In any case, True Fox 1 has joined us on the $10 tier.
So we should say their name twice. True Fox 1, True Fox 1. Abby K, Ice Bear, Dylan, Devin Hall, Last Esses, M2, Hidden Music Island, Anathemy Badesu, Susu2, and Zero Soon Game.
Yeah, those are the homies. Alright, let's talk about this fucking anime, Zom 100.
Oh, are you sure we can't just, like, sit and talk about our feelings for another hour or so? I feel like that could be fun.
Maybe after the anime, if
anyway,
we're still down.
So Zom 100, this week's episode starts off with a flashback to our main character, who, for the life of me, I cannot remember his name.
Akira.
Akira. Okay, it is Akira. I thought that, and then I was like, no, you're just thinking anime stereotypes. But so, cuts back to him, like, I think he's protecting someone from a bunch of kids.
Yeah, he saves a kid from a bully. Yeah. And this is him remembering his childhood dream.
Because that's where we ended the last episode.
Yes, he wrote that down on his list and very quickly was able to cross it off, but add newly to the list, I want to be a superhero. And he announces this to, I think this guy's name is Goto or something, right? I don't remember this guy's name, actually.
Kencho,
yes, Kencho. Kencho decided to dye his hair blonde because he's like, he's
like, well, if you're doing everything you want to be doing, I might as well be too.
Yeah,
I think he looks good with blonde hair.
I've seen him compared to looking like All Might in our Discord.
I had that joke had not clicked with me at first, but I do know what you're talking about now.
So basically, they go to an aquarium because there's something that Akira's looking for that will allow him to become a superhero. And as they're passing by, they see this horrifying shark zombie.
It's really spooky.
Kencho's like, man, if I was on day 1 of the apocalypse, I'd be shitting myself right now.
Yeah, can you imagine if this was day 1? Jesus.
So then we cut to some other group.
They're in a bus. There's a group of people in a bus. One of the people in the bus was a zombie. He bites someone. They're zombies now. Everyone runs away. This girl sucks.
So, yeah, you just see this cute girl. She's running away. She doesn't want to die, whatever. Normal stuff. It's one of those, like, kind of serious, dramatic zombie scenes that's going to be intercut with the comedy of meeting our main characters.
With the last episode, too, I'm kind of like, so are all of these people we're just introduced to gonna die immediately? And no, not really. Most of them live through the episode.
Yeah, actually, shockingly, spoilers, this girl doesn't die, but we really thought she was.
She deserves it.
Maybe she will later. I mean, it seems like the kind of thing that could happen. Or she'll redeem herself. That would be nice.
But, so this guy gets eaten.
That's our main character, Akira. He's not getting eaten because...
he has basically what is described as a wetsuit made of chainmail that is used for diving with sharks.
Yes.
Now, while this sounds wonderful in practice, and it works, he doesn't get zombified, the force is still there.
Yeah.
You're not going to get bitten, but you're going to break your fucking every single one of your bones if you fuck around too much.
Getting bitten hard by zombies.
And so he's getting bitten by zombies to let everyone else escape, and he's basically like, Kencho, come on, man. Like,
help me out. And he's like,
really
I don't
hurts.
have a suit, bro. Fuck.
There's only one
You can figure this out. And he
Kencho,
does. He beats them all up.
I am kind of glad that by the end of this episode, Kencho isn't a total, like, fraidy cat asshole anymore.
Sure.
He does start, like, teaming up and helping with stuff as opposed to just, like, letting Akira handle all of it.
I think he's being kind of reasonable in this situation. He's like, you have a shot. Like, if I go out there and they bite me, I'm done.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Like, sorry, bro. So, one of the people who runs by with this group...
risk analysis girl, that's what he calls her.
And she shows up, and he's kind of, like, nervous about trying to talk to her, but Kensho's like, you gotta go for it, right? And so she sees him in the outfit and immediately just starts fucking... going in on this man's masculinity. She's like, you're dressed as a superhero. That's what psychologists call identification.
Is it masculinity or just like his psychology?
Well, she specifically says men like who feel insecure about themselves will dress up as their idols or like heroes that they admire in order to feel more empowered because they're identifying with this other person. And basically she sees this as like weak, feeble behavior, which I was just like, damn, she is going in. I know a lot of people who would probably feel attacked by this scene. And these guys... Eventually, she starts breaking down all of the reasons that him going out to save her was...
1 second.
What?
There's a live-action Netflix movie of Zom 100 Bucket List.
Oh, it's already out? I knew there was like a live-action thing happening, but I didn't know it was like already there.
You know, I think this could translate pretty well to live action.
Probably makes sense.
Because it's pretty grounded, you know? Like, the zombies get a little silly, Akira's bullshit gets a little silly, but it's mostly like... just ripping off other zombie tropes.
Right.
To the point where the risk analysis girl is literally just like watching a bunch of zombie movies.
I do think a lot of what is done in this series is stuff that like would be too expensive to have all of it in the same story in live action, so I wonder how much of it they'll actually do. Like, there's a lot of fucking crazy action with all the like vehicle stuff that goes on, and in this episode, I mean, I guess CGI could do it, but it's probably not going to look as good as it does here. In any case, yeah, so they're talking to Risk Analysis Girl. She is just fucking breaking down all of the reasons that, like, if you really care about the people you really care about, you wouldn't put yourself in danger to save the people you barely care about. And,
the
like,
people that are precious to you, because that term gets brought up later in the episode again. But, that's her big thing. I'm so curious what the hell this woman did. Oh, god damn it, we're competing with Vito.
Oh, are we streaming at the same time as Vito? It's okay. He's just playing Zelda.
I know.
So
Shout out Vito. He's a great guy.
This is where I realized this girl was just like me for real, because they're like, she's super argumentative and hard to please. And I was like, that sounds right.
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to say that sounds.
So then a big shark...
Just like Beatrice.
A shark shows up.
The shark.
With
the
legs.
same shark.
Yeah.
This was the shark we saw earlier.
But it didn't have legs earlier.
It did. It did have legs earlier.
Okay, it didn't
It
have
was just in a tank.
many legs, did it?
I think it did, yeah. It's just like it's 6 pairs of legs, or I'm sorry, 3 pairs of legs.
I assume this is a reference to Junji Ito's Gyo, which is about sharks and other sea animals all like growing legs and coming on land and just eating everybody. But yeah, so there's a land shark, and as they're running around from it, the risk analysis girl is like, "Oh, it must be that the zombies inside of it, like
they came zombified, and now they're helping it move."
Yeah, and they're like, "How?" And she's like, "Why would I know that?" I thought that was cute.
I get, yeah. So I do like that, but also, how would the zombies know? Are they just hearing noises from the shark's belly and kind of running in that direction? It's confusing, but
the shark is also
really cool.
alive, right?
Yeah, the shark's alive, but the shark can't communicate to the legs
Or
inside of
undead,
its stomach.
rather.
Yeah. The shark's very much a zombie. There's a bunch of like gore shots of the shark, and
It's a pretty cool design.
It looks great.
This fight scene, or this whole action sequence, rather, is so this episode, if you didn't know, got delayed. The reason we're talking about it, like we would ordinarily be covering this in next week's episode of the podcast, but because of the fact that this show airs like right after, like right on Saturday night, like usually right after we're done with the podcast, we just decided to cover it.
Did we talk about last week's episode? Flight attendants, right?
There was no episode last week.
Oh,
it
shit.
skipped
Okay,
last week,
okay.
and it's skipping next week.
For like the next 3 weeks.
I think that's Jujutsu Kaisen that's skipping the next 3 weeks, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure like it's.
I know there's no Jujutsu Kaisen this week.
I'm pretty sure Zom 100's at least 2.
Well, yeah, everything's getting delayed, and I mean, reasonably so. The animation is fucking insane in these shows. There is a lot of animation in this like sequence of them running from the shark, fighting off the shark, just tons of crazy camera angles and awesome hand-drawn sequences. I don't know who animated any of this stuff, but they did a goddamn good job.
I don't know what episode this is from. Apparently, this is a Resident Evil 2 reference.
With the guy eating a hamburger driving a truck.
Yeah,
Amazing. So yeah, as basically the group is all running away, and they have an opportunity to get behind a closed door, and
that girl from earlier who we really don't like.
Yeah.
She pushes risk analysis girl over before she can get into the door.
Yeah.
And then she just sits in the room going, "It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Totally
it's not my
her fault.
Totally your fault. Absolutely your fault."
She definitely did not need to shove her out of the way, to leave her as bait for the zombies.
Well,
while
it's not. She
escaped.
didn't even shove her. She like grabbed onto her,
Yeah.
pleaded for help or something, and then shoved her away. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're just being a problem.
Yeah. So they get the door closed, and the shark breaks the door so that they can't open it and let her in. So our guy Akira goes back out to fight the shark to keep it off of Risk Analysis Girl, and yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Kensho has a brave moment of deciding to get naked, as he does.
Well, that's his comedy bit.
And flash his ass at the shark.
Saying, "Hey, shark, come
bait
eat
it,
this
dude."
beautiful ass. Don't
Yes.
you want a piece of this?" And then the shark comes for him, and he's like, No, I was joking.
I love his expression of pure terror while
Yeah.
he's doing this also. Yeah, it's a cute scene. It's fun. It's crazy. The animation's lit. He fucking beats up a shark, man.
Yeah. Okay, so now these 3 have left the group because why the hell would you stay in that group?
Yeah. Well, she was like, I had nothing to do with those
Yeah,
people.
we were just going to the
and,
harbor, was
Also,
what it was.
she has lots of regrets about involving herself in a group because people in a group tend to devolve into panic quickly. Yeah.
But so they have a whole little moment of her, this is why I made every choice I did in the past 15 minutes, and this is why I don't think you're still very smart. And, she just kind of goes on for a while. And then she says, well, if I'm never going to see you again, I guess there's no harm in giving you my phone number.
I have to make sure I note some of the best dialogue in this episode we kind of skipped over of...
him monologuing about what is a hero?
Yeah, well, where he says to her, when I'm hungry, I eat. When I see a cute girl, I want to talk to her. And when I see someone in trouble, I want to help them. Why does there have to be anything,
more than that?
Why do I have to think about it,
Yeah.
And that's sort of, what he's trying to, I guess, that's the gap he's trying to bridge with her is, like, he's living life to the fullest and trying to enjoy himself, and she straight up says, like, I've just been trying to not get eaten. You are trying to do a bunch of things until you
that's
get
what
eaten.
it is. It's
we
like,
are not the same.
Your way of living is just things you want to do until you become a zombie. My way of living is to literally not become a zombie.
Yeah.
That way, or in that way, our lives are incompatible. So we have to.
I definitely think this show disagrees with her way of thinking.
Yes.
And I do as well.
That's why she keeps meeting Akira.
Yeah. Like, obviously, you and I live our lives in a pretty outlandish way that a lot of people probably would not survive, and that sometimes we are barely surviving. But it's a lot more fun than spending all your time concerned about trying not to die, because you're gonna die. So, like, you can not get eaten for the next 60 years. What are you gonna do when you're dead? Or just old. I don't know.
Asher's had a blue sky this whole time. God damn it. Sorry, that was another thing I forgot to mention while we were talking about ourselves. I met a very lovely woman named Maxine, and I don't remember a whole lot of the conversation I had with her, except at one point she was like, "Oh, I have a blue sky invite code," and I was like, "Me, yeah, I'm the one. Give it to me."
I've been begging for months for anybody to invite me.
Shout out Maxine, you're great.
Anyway. That's it for Zom 100. He calls her a precious person. She blushes.
A precious person to him, and she exhales and it's steam, and she's blushing and everything. This was probably my favorite episode of the show so far.
Of Zom 100?
Yeah, I think so. It just kind of...
It was a lot of fun.
Everyone feels like... The real characters feel like real characters. They're kind of having banter with each other. They obviously are not together yet, but we can see why and how they will be.
Bringing her back at this moment was the very correct move.
Yeah.
Because, she's particularly the only female character who feels like a character at all. And then Kensho and Akira are going to try and find Akira's parents. Because apparently... They're heading up to the countryside.
The village that his parents live in found a way to seal off all the zombies or something like that.
Because they are the best kept secret in Kanto? I don't know. Alright, next up, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. This episode is not bad. I understood it a little bit more when I went back to get the clips. I kind of am frustrated with the way that this show dispenses information, because...
Who the fuck are these people?
Yeah, it has a lot of people talking about stuff that I don't really know. Like, there's a lot of setup, a lot of mystery, a lot of people with intents that are not clear, and you're kind of just always sitting around waiting for something to click. And I know that all of this will eventually make more sense, because people have told me so, that the show does eventually have a point at which it all starts to feel like it matters. But when I compare this to Revolutionary Girl Utena, for instance, I feel like I have a way better sense of what that show is doing.
What's going on
by this
there,
point? Even if there's a ton of mystery, we don't know what the fuck is the deal with the prince or the powers or the duels or any of that shit, but the themes of the show are really apparent, really hitting you over the head with the toxic relationships and the toxic masculinity and femininity and all the gender stuff, and it's just super in your face with themes. With this show, there's a couple of themes that it's really beating you over the head with. The whole if you advance you gain 2 thing.
Yeah.
But then just all this mysterious stuff that probably means something, but what is it? Who are these people? What do they stand for? They look like smug rich assholes. We've seen a lot of smug rich assholes in the show so far. Don't really know what they're doing. They are studying they want to know more about the aerial and about how it's piloted. Basically,
they want to know if it's a Gundam.
Nobody can understand how it's possible for the machine to be as powerful as it is without killing the person using it. Because as we established, particularly in the precursor episode, Gund technology is built off of hurting the people using it, which is why the people who were inventing the Gundam got wiped out in the first place. So this is the first time that stuff from the preview episode has really started to feel like it matters to the main story. But they're what's the deal with this? Why is this survivable? Let's have enhanced person number 4 figure this out.
And so, sorry, we know who that is. It's Aelin. It's Aelin Ceres. But what in the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what is an enhanced
Who are
person?
the other three?
Yeah, a lot of just constantly raising questions, and I'm never sure how much I care yet, because I'm not that invested in any individual character yet.
Yeah.
Like, Utena, by this point, I love Utena, I love Anthy, I love Miki, I love Nanami, as of episode 6, you know. Even Toga, pretty fun, by episode 6. And Sayonji, he's a devious idiot, but he's fun to watch.
Sorry, we'll get to it in a second, but this week's episode of Utena, Sayonji just, like, shows up out of nowhere.
To be
like,
a D-bag
and
get ignored. Utena's the last show we're going to talk about. I made it my carrot on the stick this week to get me through all the other shows.
Nice. But so the episode starts with Aelin Ceres beating 3 Earthian pilots in a duel at once.
Yes.
I don't quite know why they're doing this.
I think they're just showing off how badass he is, or it's some kind of duel. Like,
but they make a lot of
loses
points.
A bunch of money trying to bet against him.
That's just an Earthian that's betting, and he later in the episode is betting more. They make a point to say that Aelin usually doesn't take duels.
Right.
In the middle of this duel, and so it's like, well, then what? I maybe just missed the point.
That these women who control him are like trying to study something, so they're sending him into, like, it's obvious that he's only dueling because he's being told to. He's just kind of doing whatever these people say. We hear people talk about him to say that he's like really unemotional and he never smiles and he's just like kind of a weird guy. And
do you
so
think
they're
he's
all
a
surprised?
Because like he can pilot Ariel. That would make sense, right?
I know in Gundam lore there eventually become cyber new types, so he might be a cyber new type, which is to say, like, I don't know if that's a cyborg or an android necessarily, but they I never got that far in Gundam. in Universal Century Gundam, and I don't know how much that lore affects this lore, which is really its own. That's the other part about this show, is that it becomes confusing because there's a lot of stuff that only really makes sense because I know Revolutionary Girl Utena and Mobile Suit Gundam. Like, okay, the Earth people, they just have, like, farm animals on their ship.
That was really cute. Anytime, like, to establish that you're in the Earthian area, they'll cut to their goat, and the goat will just go like, nah. It's cute.
It feels weird to me in the tone of this show, but it is very Gundam. Like, it's a thing that would, like, Gundams being used to herd livestock is, like, a meme throughout the franchise. But it feels way more in line with, like, the chaos of what Tomino is trying to show you, versus this show's kind of orderly, like, structured, you know, Utena-esque, like, elements. And so it's weird having the Gundam and Utena are two weird things to mesh together in this way. And sometimes I'm just like, well, would they even have thought to do this kind of stuff if they weren't just trying to, like, create that synergy? I don't know. It's an odd show. This scene opens with Suleta doing she's having
chess?
a fortune
read.
No,
okay.
This woman is fortune telling her.
You know, I had actually picked up on that while we were watching the episode. I'm just looking at it now and I'm like, that seems like chess.
What kind of chess is this?
I don't know. But yeah, no, she is getting her fortune read because like the girl reading the fortune says something to the effect of like, oh, is this a sibling? And I think Suleta goes like, it's my Gundam, or whatever. It's Ariel, right?
Yeah.
Because Ariel has always been like a big sister to her, or little sister.
As her sibling. Her mom is important in her life, and her dad is out of the picture. And I guess all I really gained from this scene is she mentions that, like, she was told her dad died when she was little. So we've pretty much confirmed she doesn't remember the preview episode at all. She wants to read someone else's fortune, but she needs to know their birthday. This person, we will eventually realize, is, what was the name again? Adele? What's the fucking guy's name who's fighting the guys at the start of the episode? Ellen?
Elan. Elan Ceres.
Elan. Like Elon Musk. Elan basically asks her out on a date, or at least that's how they all interpret it. She's like, I don't know, maybe it's a date. He just said he wanted to meet me at a place tomorrow. And they're like, that's what a date is. So all the Earth Girls are kind of excited because they're like, maybe the Ice Prince is finally going to smile at somebody, you know? Meanwhile, he's being, like, experimented on or, like, having checks run or something. I don't know. He's got all these, like, definitely, like, cyborgy stuff going on. But, yeah, they're talking about how ordinarily the pilot should be instantly killed by how much power output this thing has. So maybe it's a Gundam. You need to go figure it out. And he seems kind of excited about going to figure this out. Like, maybe he actually does have feelings for this Suleta girl. Isn't that exciting? So he asks her to let him, like, come with her while she pilots the robot.
Yeah.
Silver-haired girl is very against this. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? This is stupid. And meanwhile, what's his name? Gale? Is that the other dude with the pink hair?
Pink hair?
Yeah.
Gwell.
Gwell, yes. Gwell has, like, these little, like, his lackeys or whatever, like, see this happening and go to inform him. They're like, they're taking out the Gundam and doing something, and he's like, I don't really know exactly why he needed to be notified of this. I don't know if he has them keeping tabs on her or what. In any case, they get into this Gundam together. He's watching her pilot and kind of asking her stuff. He's like, I want to know more about you. Do you ever feel pain when you're piloting? And she's like, no, it's always been nice for me. You know, I have a good time in the robot. And he's, like, really kind of put off by this.
Yeah.
This is the closest thing I've seen to a consistent theme happening in this show, is that the guys around Suleta are upset that her life seems easier than theirs just by nature of her, like, upbringing and her relationship to this Gundam. Like, she can beat them in the duels, and she is, like, just happier in life, period, because, like, her mom was good, and she has a nice relationship with her robot. Whereas all of them have, like, bad relationships with the people who control their lives and have been miserable, you know?
Grumble capitalism.
That's really going to bubble up here because she asks for his birthday, and he's like, can I pilot the Gundam for a second? And she's like, okay, like, he must just be really not wanting me to know his birthday.
So he pilots the Gundam.
Which, you know, if your suggestion that he's a robot, maybe he's only like 3 years old or something, and that's why he doesn't want to say his birthday. If he's, like, manufactured recently or something.
That'd be interesting.
But yeah, so he
does the permit score 2 thing.
Yes.
You know, the thing that, like, when her dad was dying, he just kept going up and up and up and up, and it was killing him more and more. It's not hurting him. He goes so far to say is, like, it's not like an invasive hand reaching into you and grabbing you. It's just like, it's nice. It's a good robot to pilot.
So he realizes, you are nothing like me. We haven't had the same experiences, and he totally loses interest in her. Talks shit and ghosts her. She's, like, crying, and Gwell shows up and sees her crying, and it's like,
Elon being number 4 is relevant if you've seen Zeta Gundam and you know about Camille and 4.
Only in as much as I'm pretty sure 4 was the main character's girlfriend who dies at some point, relatively. Spoilers for Zeta Gundam. Anyway, so I guess I'm guessing this guy is gonna definitely die. I mean, I assume all these fucking characters are gonna die. It's Gundam. It's pretty much what happens.
4 is a cyber new type, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they're just saying that Aelin is a cyber new type.
I think he's probably a cyber new type. But like, I don't think they call them new types in this, but there's like I think they have their own terminology. It's weird. It's all very slant Gundam. Like, same things, but for some reason, it's the Gund Protocol and Ariel or whatever. Anyway, yeah, so the two of them are gonna have a duel because Gwell showed up, saw Suleta crying, and Elan was like, I want to duel you anyways. So this is kind of where this episode, it was starting to really get my attention with all the emotional stuff with Elan and Suleta. This is where it kind of started to lose my attention again. There's a moment of setup where this woman we've seen a couple times in the episode. I don't even remember what context, but I guess she's also.
I think she's one of
Mercury.
the women that it was working with Aelin.
It seems to be implied that.
Or are you talking about head? Helmet.
No, Helmet
okay,
is...
Helmet's her mom.
Helmet is just approached by this woman in this scene, and, like, I know who you are. And she's like, oh, you're another witch. So does this mean, like, all the people...
No. She's just saying there was another witch. She is figuring out that Aelin can pilot a Gundam.
Oh, okay.
Because doesn't Aelin pilot a Gundam by the end of this episode? Fighting with Gwell. Remember? You know, he has a fight with Gwell. Gwell's brother tells him, hey, you shouldn't fight.
So they're saying that he is a witch. That
yes,
Gwell is
I believe so.
Or,
no, they're saying that Aelin is a witch.
Aelin is a witch. Okay. Okay, I thought this woman was recognizing this woman as a witch because they had both come from the same place, and she, like, reveals it to her or something. I don't know. I'm sure we'll fucking understand it at some point. Anyway, there's a very lengthy duel between these two guys that to me just really didn't have any emotional stakes. I don't really...
We got to see another Gundam.
Like...
So, actually, something is going on with his face here, right? I wasn't sure if I was, like, tripping or if that was actually happening.
No, yeah. That was shown also when he was in, like, like, when he was being worked on or whatever. So, yeah, the idea here is that he fights Gwell with the promise that if he wins, he will then have the chance to fight Suleta. And that's what he's really after because he wants to bet on her Gundam. He's like, you give me the Ariel if I win. The fight with Gwell in and of itself, like, I don't really get why Gwell's fighting other than just, I don't know, macho bravado.
He's trying to protect Suleta or something. It's not really clear.
It just didn't feel like their fight mattered that much other than that, like, you know, it leads to, I guess it shows us his skill, you know, like, it shows that this opponent that Suleta... I mean, because Suleta already beat Gwell. Like, it's not like she had a tough time beating him. So, watching him get beaten doesn't make me feel like, oh, shit, this guy's this guy could be a real threat. It's like, well, you beat Gwell. We've seen him get beat by everybody already. This guy jobs harder than anyone.
He was the guy, you know, before anyone showed up. Or before Suleta showed up. Gwell was the man in charge.
Yeah, so I guess for this guy to be so much better than him, you know, it's really like, I was secretly the best all along, and Suleta...
Which we all could have guessed, right? Like, he was the one in charge of the dueling committee. That's what it seemed like.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, this episode was okay. It had some things I liked. It had some cool animation. Both Gundam shows we watched this week had at least a couple minutes of fighting that I kind of didn't really care that much about.
I didn't really understand the stakes of most of it.
Yeah.
It was cool. It always looks cool. But I'm also very confused as to what exactly his Gundam bits do. They're just
fucking ill. Man.
They're lasers. They look
so
awesome.
Ill.
I don't know, but yeah.
Where the boy smell at? Those same guys when the Smash players arrive. What the fuck am I looking at? What are these memes? This is too complicated for on the air. Alright.
I just wanted you to read that out loud and I knew you would.
Mobile Suit Gundam.
I thought we just talked about that.
Is done. It's time for Speed Racer.
Wait, what? I thought we covering two of them. Where's the...
Yeah, well, we'll get to the other one.
Just checking. Alright, this was a hell of an episode of Speed Racer.
Holy shit, I think I have more screen caps of this than I do of any other show this week. So much shit happens in Speed Racer.
This is quite jam-packed. To the point where, like, the first 2 minutes I was kind of like, okay, I remember the old guy. What's going on here again? And then they explain everything, of course. Yeah. And then, like, shit just starts fucking happening. Like...
This show, unfortunately, it's really hard to get good screen caps because the animation happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It's usually just like 4 or 5 frames of something happening, which is why it's so jam-packed. Because even though each animation is very short, they just kept doing more of them. So it's like, stuff is constantly happening. But like, in this scene, Racer X sees these 4 like cars that are chasing after Speed, and just kind of drives onto each of their, like, drives over them, like, going in back and forth.
I think he's just, like, freaking them out, I think is the idea.
It causes them all to crash. Yeah. But, yeah, like, it was so hard to screen cap, but it looked really cool. It was just like, whoa, what the fuck?
It was pretty insane.
He just drove on all those cars in, like, a zigzag pattern, and then they all exploded. it's pretty wild.
Racer X is a better driver than Speed Racer, right? He has to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the implication, is that he's trying to train Speed to get as good as him, basically. But even Speed thinks that he's nowhere near as good as X, based on seeing him do that training thing.
So, at some point in between all that, Speed gets knocked out by a very large man who pretty much only speaks in animal noises.
He's like, but it sounds like an actual,
it's like Lurch
boar.
from the Addams Family.
Like, it sounds like they used a sound effect of an animal making, like, a growl for this big dude's voice. And he knocks Speed Racer out, and they wake up in a cave, him and the old man who owns the Ford.
Al Colon's son.
I don't remember this dude's name. The fucking.
It doesn't matter. He was in prison. He's not anymore. He knows about Al Colon's fortune. That's what he's doing.
This whole scene of him leering over them in the cave.
This guy does mention quite a few times that he always gets what he wants. Things always go his way. Blah blah blah. You know, he's a criminal. You know, so he feels the need to explain very often that, you know, I'm not like other people. I commit crime to make things go better for myself.
Yeah, This scene felt very like Indiana Jones.
It was weirdly Indiana Jones.
Or Kenya Boy, which I know you haven't seen yet, but we will one day, maybe drop acid or something and watch Kenya Boy, because that movie is a fucking trip. But basically, as this guy is telling them that he's going to get this money, they are devising how they're going to fake team up with him, help him get the real information and get that money. And, Speed's intention is just to give it to the old man so that he can run his orphanage. But the old man's like, you need this money to enter that race. Like, we got to get it for you too, buddy.
Is that not the most unappealing drink you've ever seen? It's gray. It's the kombucha I was drinking. So I bought a bunch of alcoholic kombucha for this episode. One that I'm looking at now is June Shine. It said to flip upside down to activate it. I can't remember all the flavors that are going on here. It's not very good. Oh, yeah, you can sip it. But, yeah, I don't know. I like kombucha. That's another thing.
I hate the smell of kombucha.
It's really bad.
It smells like foot.
We've been up in the Pacific Northwest a lot, and I've been drinking a lot more kombucha because it's supposed to be good for your gut health. And, when we're not in the Pacific Northwest, I just drink probiotics. But you can find kombucha out here, which is really nice. Anyway.
Yeah, so they're conspiring for how they're going to dupe this guy and get out of this situation. Meanwhile, Speed transmits a message to his dad that he knows he's being recorded by the.
He's transmitting a message to Trixie, but his dad finds it first. Or what's her name in this?
Well, no. What's happening is he had to call his dad, and we watched this in Japanese, so her name's Michi.
Right.
But basically,
the bad guy forces him to call his dad and go like, "Hey, I'm going to be out tonight." Whoops.
Yeah, exactly. And he's listening in on the call, but Speed throws in and also tell Trixie that ring that she wanted me to get her, it's 6,500 yen, and I can't afford that yet. So, you'll just have to deal with something cheaper for now or something like that. The dad hangs up the phone. He says something to I don't remember what the context this was, but he says, "After all, you know how women are." And it cuts to his mom goes, "Huh?" He's always throwing out some kind of little sexist statement, and she's always kind of like, all right,
well, because sometimes she'll kind of laugh at it. Yeah. And then this time she was like, don't know what you're talking about there.
But yeah, so Speed and the old man and this guy and his guards are all now sleeping in a cabin in the woods. I don't understand really the geography.
Well, they're on a mountain or something, which is where the when the criminal shows up, he says, "I know that your dad's treasure is stashed at the place." Right. I don't remember what the place is called.
Kind of volcano, I think.
Yeah, but it's a really remote area that they've gone to.
Volcanoes in this show.
Yeah, you're right there.
So, at one point, the bad guy is fucking around with Speed's car and just what do all these stupid buttons do? And he's like, that one does this, that one does this. He's like, there's not any weapons, and he's like, no, everything is just made to make driving easier.
Yeah.
But then at one point he fires out a little drone thing.
Oh yeah. They have a name for it too. Fuck. Sorry, I forget.
He's flying the drone around and crashing it into the ground, and it looks like there's a blood splatter or something when I don't know if it was supposed to be oil. That was a weird moment.
It was an oil slick. Yeah, they even say it's an oil slick.
That's hilarious.
I think that's later in the episode actually. Because that's when he's chasing the guy in the car.
No, this is he crashes the drone into the ground, and then he like flies it off. The drone basically like activates its go back home function, which Speed was like, oh, I was gonna attach a letter to it, but now it's just gonna go back, and they're not gonna know where I am.
But I think they gather from it just coming home that he's in trouble.
Well, so
and then this.
Michi comes over, and the dad's like, yeah, he said something about $6,500 ring, and she's like, I would never ask for that. 6,500 on a tachometer means you're in the danger zone. That's what this is really about.
Which I'm not sure that I'm correct on this, but I do think it's funny because, like, can't the Mach 5 comfortably go at like 8,500 RPM or something? I feel like in the first episode they were like, it can go so fast at 11,000 rotations per minute, and I was like, well,
maybe this is just normal car slang, not necessarily Mach 5.
Not everyone drives the Mach 5, but for the family that does have the Mach 5, you think you'd adjust it a little bit.
So the funniest scene in this episode.
So the criminal, he wakes everyone up, and he's like, all right, I found this woman to guide us to our place.
Mountain woman. It's just this dirty-ass
blonde chick, all teared up dress, immediately flirting with Speed, just like, we're going out later, right?
The guy's like, put this girl in your car, and he's like, what?
In my car?
In my car? In this whole scene, he's just fucking disgusted with her.
It is really funny too, because like Speed is mean to Trixie. Like he's
a little bit. He's definitely short with her.
But like, based off of this, how does Speed treat other women?
I think
like
it's just
he just treats her like she's annoying.
So I think it's that she's dirty. I think he doesn't like that she's dirty.
And he's like OCD. It's his nice car. Yeah. He's all clean. The car's all clean. Okay.
He's in the Mach 5. Yeah, he's all clean and proper. She's all dirty, and she's being like a hoe. He's in a relationship.
It's
he's
true.
Just like, he's not about it. I mean, I'm sure him and Trixie banged. Like, there's
maybe
there's no way. They
but
don't.
So before this scene, I'm pretty sure it's revealed that hoe is actually just Trixie in a disguise.
Yes, so it turns out that she takes off her disguise, and of course Speed's excited to see her. They fight off the bad guy that's on the car, chop down a bunch of trees to escape.
Yeah. And then
so
the monkeys.
It comes down to like everybody ends up convening at the place where the treasure is. All of our good guys, all of our bad guys, they're all here. And everybody ends up at the bad guy's gunpoint. And he's like, I'm taking the money and I'm killing all of you. But
monkeys.
But Sparky and the little monkey.
Nope, Sparky's the mechanic.
Spritle and the monkey. They it's especially confusing if we switch between dub and sub, because they all have different names. They were stowed away, and the monkey summons an army of monkeys to throw rocks at all of the bad guys to stop them long enough for everyone to enter a kung fu fight frenzy where, fucking...
I mean, they all kick ass. Oh, right.
People.
The dad has a whole monologue. Or rather, no, it's Speed who's like, show him your wrestling chops. And then the dad just like starts throwing people around with his finger. It's pretty fun.
They're beating the shit out of everyone. Spritle is literally
naked.
Like, swinging on a vine and doing the
Tarzan
George
thing.
of the Jungle, Tarzan wails and knocking people over. It's chaos. It's total chaos. Eventually, Racer X shows up. This is another scene that was hard to screen cap because it happened so quickly, but it was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. Because the mob boss, who's at this point already been thrown by the dad a couple of times, gets a hold of his Tommy gun and he's going to blast everybody away. And then Racer X just comes out of nowhere and hits him with his car, flying through the air, bowls through all of the guys, literally just knocking them off of his car. Oh my god, I was fucking dying by this point. And still this guy manages to get away with the money only for it to turn out that having sat next to a volcano for 40 years
has funny
turned
too,
the money to dust.
Because we don't learn it immediately. Like, this wraps up, and we cut to Speed, and it's like, why do you think the money turned into ash? And I don't remember if it's Speed or Trixie.
It is Speed.
It's Speed. Like, and he just goes, well, it was sitting on top of the heat of the volcano, and on top of that, the sulfuric acid or whatever. And it's like, Speed, what do you know about volcanoes? I know you see a lot of them.
Time in volcanoes. Ultimately, though, there is a reward for capturing the gangsters.
But he gives it to the old man so that
Yes.
the old man can build an amusement park for his orphans?
Yes.
I had forgotten that was his motivation.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to have to start charging people to go into it to keep up the maintenance on that kind of thing.
That's true.
But anyway.
Also, is the prize money enough to make that happen?
It's
or
an
is it just
amusement
an
park, dog. They cost a lot of money.
Let's hope he just feeds the kids with the money. But everybody's gonna work real hard, even Trixie.
No, because Speed so initially Speed gets the reward and Pops goes, oh, you can make it to the Alps.
Yeah.
And then he goes, nah, I'm gonna give it to this guy. And then Pops goes, well, just kidding. We're all gonna save up money and work really hard to send you to the Alps.
Even Trixie.
Speed Racer's good. Also, real quick, after Trixie says, I'm gonna work real hard too, Pops and Speed just start laughing at her. I don't know why. I don't know what it's supposed to be implying there. What does she do, actually?
We have no idea.
Okay. I feel like she's a
Flies
reporter.
Helicopters? I don't know. Do you feel that way because she flies a helicopter?
No, I feel like, wasn't she that in the movie? Wasn't she like a reporter or something?
I don't think so. She was just kind of Speed's girlfriend.
Well.
Anyway.
Hey, this show's getting a little better.
Yeah,
Except it ruined one of the best characters this week.
Oh my god, this scene, this episode starts off immediately infuriating because, our favorite character has been the hoe bag who just fucks lots of guys all the time. And all this time we thought she's just a fun slut. Turns out she has a curse that if she doesn't bang constantly, then she will eventually die. Which, to me, removes the consensuality of her having sex all the time. Like, sure, she's enjoying herself. Maybe she doesn't see this as the worst situation, but she has to do it. So maybe she's only convinced herself to enjoy it because she has to live this lifestyle anyways. We don't really know the psychology of it, but I was happier to think she was just a cool slut, not that she has to fuck every day or she'll die. I don't know. Bird, how do you feel about this situation?
It's not great. Not happy about it.
So Rudius is a special student at this academy. We're now in, I guess, Harry Potter mode. This felt to me like I was watching ReZero again somehow, because we've gotten to a point where, like, we're in a new arc, and there's a bunch of characters who have all been around for a while, who have all these relationships, all these kingdoms, and all this terminology, and it's just like, oh, great, now this show can really take its time, reminding you of every single past thing that's happened by way of new connections.
Hey, at least Sylphie's back. Or Fitz, or whatever the hell her name is now.
They explain that Rudius, being a special student, means he doesn't have to pay tuition. He has to go to a homeroom class
once a month,
and otherwise can pretty much just do
whatever
the fuck he wants. So he sees himself as more of an experiment than a proper student. But I guess I don't really remember why this happens, like an expo or something like that.
It's his entrance exam. Okay. He does a duel against Fitz.
Yeah, he duels Fitz and kind of easily wins, and is really worried because he thinks he just embarrassed an upperclassman.
And he's like, you let me win.
Yeah, especially 'cause
why wouldn't you just say, hey, remember Sylphie? Like, I get it. Maybe you don't want to, like, say it out loud, but, like, give him a handshake and just go, I'm your girlfriend from when you were a kid.
Yeah, it's not really clear why Fitz is hiding that he's Sylphie. We don't really get an explanation, but she carries it through to the end, so whatever.
Oh, we also learned that not yet, but we learned that the bodyguard to the princess that was in the episode.
Well, we'll get to that. We have screen caps of all this.
Fine.
There he is.
Yeah, so that's apparently Rudius's cousin. He's a gray rat too.
This scene, he's like, that guy kind of reminds me of Paul, and I'm just like, okay, you're related.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need this rigmarole. You're related.
So I looked up how they're related. It's not really that much.
You didn't have to. They explain it in the episode. And it's the least interesting explanation.
So I don't really remember any of that. But I looked it up because they mention a couple different times in the first season that Paul's brother's a real fucking scumbag.
Right.
And now we've learned that the guy who was a scumbag is the person that was trying to help her come to power, his father.
Yeah.
Now, probably didn't go too well for him. I don't know yet, but...
Well, the princess here, she is also student council president, so she gives a little speech.
Oh, and if you don't remember, she's at this school to be safe from all of the turmoil in her family or whatever.
It's really funny because when this scene started up, I have a deep-seated aversion to school and anything that feels like school.
Sure.
So she starts talking. I kind of tuned it out. I'm like, whatever, school assembly shit, right? Going back to the episode to collect the screen caps, I caught that Rudius says, ordinarily I would have just zoned out during some stuff like that, but I guess she's got some kind of charisma because it kept me paying attention, and I'm like, the anime did not accomplish this at all. She does not seem charismatic or interesting. She seems, if anything, like the most generic princess, student council president type person imaginable. So yeah, no, I can't say I'm feeling it. Anyway, we meet most of the rest of the special students, of which there's 6 or 7. There's too many.
One of them's a hot cat girl. The other one is
characters introduced. In this
the other
episode.
one's we met this glasses guy because he really liked Rudius's sculptures. He's really, really strong.
He's the otaku who admires him and introduces him to the rest of the class. You've got this sexy cat girl. I didn't want to show you what she looks like because I don't want you feeling compelled to watch this show.
But she is hot.
She's hot, and she's just like, I don't like this guy right away. But also, apparently, she's the daughter of the chief of the Beastman village. Because remember, the two sisters...
Oh, right. Yeah.
They had an older sister. That's the older sister.
Oh.
I know it's very unceremonious, and he doesn't mention to her at all that he knows her family.
I missed that entirely, actually. But yeah, I forgot.
Idiot.
So here's
antisocial moron.
My biggest problem with this show is that, the different arcs don't feel like the same show. I did not remember they had gone to a beast village. I do remember that now. I didn't think it was Mushoku Tensei.
That's what I mean when I say I feel like I'm watching ReZero, where I'm like, oh yeah, they're reintroducing Beast Person from the Beast Person arc. I remember the Beast Person arc of ReZero. Oh wait, this isn't that show. Oh man, what's annoying to me about it is that because the character is an antisocial idiot, he never makes decisions that would make the plot more interesting, like communicating with people so that they can not just sit around speculating about one another until happening to find out the truth or whatever. It's just so obnoxious. This scene, Rudius meets Fitz in the library, ends up spilling the beans about what has been going on with him. So now Sylvie knows. She knows he's safe. She knows everything is good with Rudius. There's, in my mind, no apparent reason why she would not reveal her identity in this scene.
No, I don't get it at all.
Because she...
Or in this episode.
She suggests to him, oh, you came to this school to look for your other friend. And he's like, yeah. Then thinks in his head, I can't tell her I really came here to fix my erectile dysfunction. But if
they revealed it to each other, it might fix both of their problems.
It very well could. If she thinks that he's here to look for her and she thinks that that's really nice of him, why is she keeping it a secret? What's in it for her? I don't if they had established this, it would be fine. If they gave us a reason, it would be fine. They have not really established a reason that she's keeping this secret, and it's infuriating.
Real quick, I looked up who wrote this series. I am not going to try to pronounce that, but doesn't he have a fun hat?
Rifujin Mago no...
It is a pen name. That's not his real name.
Yeah. Best known for his original novel series Mushoku Tensei and Orc Eroica. I read that as erotica at first.
That's what I did too. I mean, I would bet it's erotic.
So this guy, Luke Notos Greyrat, it's his cousin. This is how this scene plays out. This guy walks up to him like, "Hey man, do you like not recognize me? You don't know who I am?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, my name is Luke Notos Greyrat." And then inwardly, Rudius thinks, "Oh, huh. I guess that makes him my cousin?" And then this guy just kind of goes, "Ch," and walks away. He had nothing to say to his cousin. Nothing whatsoever to say to this cousin he did not know he had and is finding out for the first time. He just finds out and the conversation ends. Wow. Riveting plot development. You have a cousin.
I mean, that's God. How most... Oh, what are we doing here? Oh, right, the gorilla girl.
No.
So,
Rudius is walking through the courtyard.
And panties are just dropped onto him.
Panties fall from heaven. Where did these come from? I'm now holding panties. Panty thief, a girl cries out. Now suddenly he is surrounded with 40 girls, angry at him.
And a very large gorilla woman.
A gorilla woman who flies down from somewhere, I guess, and is like, "Those are the princess's panties. And
how dare you
stole them because you're a fucking
How does she know
asshole.
What the princess's panties look like?
You know, it's a good question. This scene just got so stupid so fast. It was unbelievable. And you can tell they are starting to play into, like, he's going to start having a panic attack because it's reminding him of getting bullied again, but this is the dumbest bullying. It's literally a big gorilla lady shows up to, like, beat him up over stealing panties.
But anyway, then Fitz shows up and is basically like, "Hey, leave him alone. He didn't do anything wrong. I was washing them and they dropped." And the gorilla lady goes, "Hey, doesn't he this is, only women are supposed to be walking through here this time of night." And Sophie goes, "Well, you know, he didn't know this. This is his first day, blah, 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 blah." And the gorilla goes, "No, I still need to punish him to make an example out of him." And then Sophie pulls a wand on Gorilla Girl and they all fuck off.
She's like, "I will literally beat all of your asses if you don't leave him alone." And they're like, "Okay." So then they have this cute little scene hanging out. He's all like, "Oh my god, Fitz, you're so cool. I want to be your best friend." And then she's like, "You know, that really means a lot, but it's a secret. Why?" Okay, whatever. Still a secret. Don't know why. That's it. That's the episode. Thanks, Mushoku Tensei. Hate this fucking show. Alright. I love this fucking show. Mobile Suit Gundam. I'm glad Mushoku Tensei is the worst anime we're covering.
Is it?
I think so. I think it's...
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's pretty, by far, the worst anime we're covering.
Steins Gate kind of plays with me, you know? Like, some weeks I really, really, really like it, and then some weeks I'm like, right, this guy's just a schizo.
It'll be interesting to see how you feel with that.
No, I like this week. I've come around on Steins Gate mostly, but...
Gundam. This episode, some people were saying in the Discord that this was a weak episode.
Real quick, Amy Talks Annie said the panties scene was the beginning of Asterisk War, apparently.
Yes, I almost brought that up too. The way that show literally starts is like a panties fall from the heaven onto the main character's face, and then he jumps up to the window to try to return them, sees the girl naked, and she shoots a big fireball at him.
Oh.
And that's how that show starts. If only, but she had no ass, so it was really kind of weak. Anyways.
More like the Asterisk Wars. Get it? Because there's not an ass in the word anymore?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Is that... sorry, real quick, because I've never really inquired into Asterisk War, because most of your videos are about how they suck.
Yeah.
Is it a fucking isekai?
No, it is not an isekai. It was slightly before isekai became every single show. It was in 2015. Which is, like, the year, I think, that ReZero aired, and that was...
It's really like, well reviewed. Are you sure you're not wrong?
That's part of the point of those videos. Anyways, Mobile Suit Gundam... Not the Asterisk War by any stretch. Although it is a big war, there are a lot of asterisks. In the last episode, the white base made it to Earth, but they landed directly in the Zeon territory, I think in Australia, that is run by Garma Zabi, who we don't really know much about the Zabi family yet.
We know that Char talks to them.
The Zabi family are basically in charge of Zeon. So, like, most of the, like, highest up people in the military are members of this family. But in this case, Garma, being a younger person in the family, his sister is his direct superior, and he is trying to impress her so he can get a better position in the military. Kind of feel like this guy maybe, you know, circumstantially is important because he is where White Base landed, but probably maybe isn't that big of a deal outside of this, since he's just kind of patrolling Australia, where we are told there is, like, some amount of rebellion, like I don't remember what the fuck, Earth Federation rebellion, like, in the area, but they have to go find them. But, you know, mostly this has been Garma's territory. So Char comes down to Garma's place and is just like, hey, look, that's the fucking thing. I couldn't beat that thing. Garma's like, you really couldn't beat that thing? And Char's like, I really couldn't beat that thing, dude.
And if you think you can, you'll probably get the Star of Zeon.
Yeah,
whatever.
like, you will get the Zeon Cross for this if you can take care of that thing. And Garma's like, if you're gonna help me impress my sister, I'm fucking into it. He's also, like, very flirtatious in the way he communicates with Char.
So I had looked up this guy just to, like, look into him a little bit. On the Villains Wiki, his hobbies are spending time with Char and twirling his hair.
I mean, that's what he does in this episode. But yeah, Garma, you know, he's a handsome lad. I think he sees himself as a Char. He definitely wants to be his friend very badly in this episode. All of this is important setup. A lot of what happens in this episode, not that interesting on its own, but will be important later. But particularly the setup of the friendship here of Char and Garma. Of Garma basically pleading with Char, please help me get my big sis's attention. Please, bro, I'll suck you off. Please, bro, I love you so much. And Char's like, oh, here he is twirling his fucking hair. He says, don't laugh, the men are watching.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
I thought this is a cute moment. So they're sending Amuro out in a gun tank to try and fight off some of the Zeon forces that are attacking
Is it
them.
Amuro that's in the gun tank? Amuro's in the Gundam.
No, he's in the gun tank at first. They send him out in the gun tank, and Frau is like, he's totally overworked.
And you really need to give him a nap.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because, like, she's the character who in the first episode is trying to get Amuro up to go do anything.
Yeah.
So even she, the person who, like, is hardest on him about not working hard, is like, Amuro's working too hard. This is fucked up. And most of this episode is just going to be pushing Amuro really, really hard. He tries to fight in the gun tank, but it becomes apparent they're going to need the Gundam. I'm not really clear on why they weren't using the Gundam at first. I don't know if it's just because, like, it's valuable and they're trying to protect it. Because the Zeon forces are just trying to capture them. They don't want to damage the ship.
They want White Base and they want the Gundam.
Yeah. So maybe they were just trying to keep it hidden, but ultimately they have to use the Gundam. So he has... he's like, I'm sure that either Sayla or Kai could pilot it. The gun tank, while I do the Gundam. There's a moment where Amuro, being sexist here, says, I can't ask a woman how we should fight. If only Bright Noah had been more clear. It is interesting. I don't know if Bright really deserves the job as much as Mirai does. Like, she's the one who always ends up, like, really pressuring him into making the decisions he makes. Obviously, Amuro looks up to Bright and wants him to be...
It's kind of funny, too, because, like
the man or whatever.
Amuro's the only person that Bright's kind of, like, normal to.
Yeah.
Other than that, Bright's kind of an asshole to everyone.
It's true.
And he was to Amuro last episode, but at one point they just have, like, a very normal exchange.
Right.
And I was thinking, you're in the military, guy. You can't be talking to your subordinates like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember the scene you're talking about. Yeah, I think Amuro really wants Bright to be, like, his big bro commander, like, guy he can look up to who's going to clearly tell him this is what you need to do to win this fight and save these people. And Amuro's like, Bright doesn't really know what he's doing, and I don't want to listen to a woman. So, yeah, he's got a few issues that maybe he needs to work through when it comes to gender relationships.
Sorry, we have someone in the chat defending, like, well, Luke's a higher up noble, and so Rudius should know his place. It's like, no, have you considered... I mean, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. They're at school. They're at school right now. And also, Rudius could kick that kid's ass immediately. Like, are you kidding me?
Sure.
Knows his place. I just hate when people use the term know their place or whatever.
I didn't think there was anything, like... I wasn't complaining about the way Luke acted in that scene. I was complaining
Rudius was
about
an asshole.
Rudius didn't say anything and just stood there like an idiot and like didn't acknowledge his cousin whatsoever, which just made him even more upset.
Yeah. But that being said, like, I do think the whole nobles thing, like, I get it. It doesn't mean it's not a stupid thing to be playing with.
Yeah, but... no, I'm not a fan of those themes in media usually, but in any case here, returning to Gundam, Amuro is fucking losing his shit.
He's Shinjiing.
This is, I would say, pretty much every like serious mecha anime has done some version of this moment since, of like where the main character has finally been pushed to a stress point of just going fucking berserk in the middle of battle. Obviously, yeah.
I mean,
Shinji has some moments like this.
Amuro just literally goes insane and takes it like an entire front. It's pretty crazy.
In Ava's case, I would compare it most to episode 3 when he's like, "I mustn't run away! I mustn't run away! I mustn't run away!" Ah! And just like knifes through the angel. In Eureka 7, there's a part like this where he goes berserk and kills a bunch of people, and then realizes, "Oh my god, I've been killing people. Shit." Amuro, I think, is past the point of knowing he's killing people. It's just that it's really starting to take its toll on him. Because he comes back to the ship, won't talk to anybody, just goes straight to his room. The little kids show up, and they're like, "We brought you pie and champagne, we're going to party." And he's like, "Just leave me alone."
Thank you, Amy, for posting bong hits for Garma in our Discord.
Why does this exist? It's just Garma with a big-ass blunt. And oh my god, and Snoop Dogg dancing around him. Beautiful. So yeah, anyway, Amuro, he's not having it. Our boy's not okay. I love this shot. It's just a great depiction of someone, like, not handling it. I don't know. This is how I feel when I can't handle it. Then we get some awesome man service of Char. In the shower. An important detail here, I don't know if you noticed that his arm is severely burned.
Ooh, I wonder if that has anything to do with his background.
Yeah, so he basically, Garma, who basically had to retreat from the attack on White Base because he's like, "We don't have enough forces to take this thing undamaged, and I really want to take this thing undamaged. So we're going to regroup and try again." And then he comes to Char and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me it was going to be so tough?" And he's like, "I said you would get a fucking Zaku whatever thing.
Zeon cross.
Like, that's the ultimate, honor." So he's like, "But you know what? I tell you what, I'd be honored to give you a hand." And Garma's like, "Char, you're such a cool friend. I'm so happy to have you in my life." And then Char's got this glimmer in his eye like,
"I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, like, you don't know. You don't know what this friendship's going to be like, but we're not going to spoil it.
See, in his mind, Char is just yelling like, wait, no, stop, I'm doing something.
So yeah, he's going to help him out, but look at that gleam. That gleam says something. And meanwhile, Amuro's just kind of still dying prone at the end. So yeah, it was not the best episode of Gundam, but it had some stuff. There were some things happening there. A lot of it was just big fight. I think if you don't like the military action aspect of Gundam, like, this is where the show is going to start losing you more and more.
Oh, it's gained, like, I'm starting to be into Gundam now.
Right, because you want to watch the battles.
It's Legend of the Galactic Heroes now. Sorry, Ellen Horizon in the chat said, "If you run, you gain 1. If you get in the damn robot, you gain 2. Also, Ellen does not like Char's ass. She's calling you out.
Oh, I didn't really notice the ass. I only kind of noticed the
Char service.
The
shoulders,
body.
yeah.
I don't remember it panning down that far, I guess. Anyways, Mushoku.
This was a cute episode. So we start off.
This is the one where I feel like the plot is like cemented.
Yeah,
like,
we're like here. We're
what
going.
The show is now. Yeah.
So we start off. Godai is in class. His name's Godai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in class. He's asleep. He wakes up and he yells, "Cut it out! I have an entrance exam tomorrow." In his class.
In the middle of class.
And the teacher basically turns around and says, like, "You're fucked.
You need to go back.
To cram school." That's
buddy.
what it was.
Yeah, he's not really. I think part of what he's dealing with as he's now in college is nothing is really different. I still live in Mason Ikoku. I still suck at school, and I'm still not getting any attention from this woman that I am kind of obsessed with. That seems to be the main thing he's worried about, is he hasn't even held her hand yet, and he's, completely in love with her. And he hasn't really been getting any attention from her since the exams ended. So yeah, the lack of change, I think, is really striking him. He's kind of just zoning out and being dissociated at the start of the episode. There's a scene where he's begging for the chance at touching a hand, and a couple of children run by holding hands, emphasizing how easy and simple it should be of a thing to accomplish, and yet how far he is from doing such a thing. He ends up going on a nice little walk around town with the building manager and her dog Soichiro. And the whole time he's like trying to look for the opportunity. What memes are you showing me?
Sorry,
now?
it's a Gundam writer. Check out this cool but misunderstood character with a unique backstory. He's an original creation and totally isn't supposed to be Char Aznable. And then it says the character that totally isn't Char Aznable, and it's about like 6 people who are very clearly Char Aznable.
Yeah, there's more than just those ones too. Anyway,
I can't wait to watch more Gundam and like understand. 'Cause, like, I have kind of tried to spoil Gundam for myself.
It's hard.
It's really difficult to do.
Long and dense narrative. Anyway, so they're walking around this neighborhood. He's trying to get his shot at grabbing her hand or touching her shoulder.
They meet each other because his class got canceled or something. Soichiro's going around going, because that's kind of how he barks.
And Soichiro keeps pulling her away or yanking her in another direction every time he's like about to try to make a move, and he kind of just feels like,
is this what getting rejected is like? I think he says at one point.
He feels a sense of rejection. He feels like he can't quite get close to her. And it seems to be because she's just really in her feelings. She says to her dog, "It's about that time of year, isn't it?" And, the petals are going by, and he's just kind of watching her forlornly. And what could this be setting us up for? I love this moment. She says to the dog, "You're the only one who remains constant, Soichiro." I want to come back to this line later after the big reveal, but...
because it's funny, right? Because, like, literally he's not.
Yeah. Well, so she says to...
it's not funny.
She says to one of the other ladies, basically, she almost is going to say, "My dad is coming," but then she realizes if I just tell them the landlord is coming, then they'll all shut up for a while. So she tells them the landlord is coming, and everybody's just like sitting around trying to puzzle out, why is the landlord coming? What is he gonna do? Are we fucked? Is this gonna be bad for us? But the landlord shows up. Turns out it's just her dad, who's kind of an old man, and he's got a young girl with him. And Godai, I have to say, this is the moment when this guy truly, like, starts making the right moves.
Yeah.
Immediately starts schmoozing up to the dad and the little girl. He's just like, "Oh, father, can I help you with anything? What can I do? Oh, little girl, you don't want to hear all this boring adult talk. Come hang out with me. We'll have a good time." And in the process, she figures out that this girl is the manager's niece because the old man is her grandfather.
Yeah.
She's 12. He's just basically buttering her up and telling her, like, make sure you tell manager about how I was nice to you, or tell your dad how I was nice to you. So then they're all getting ready to go do something, but as the dad's trying to get up, he hurts his back.
Because he has back issues. That's mentioned a couple times. Like, he wasn't going to make the trip or something.
So, basically, Godai's like, "Hey, I'll help out. I can help carry you. Whatever you're trying to do. I know it's like a family event or something, but, like, I can help out with it." So he's carrying the dad, basically. as they're going down
the
the street...
dad is, a really fun character. I'm glad
great.
he's the landlord. I hope we get to see more of him.
He's very well written. He's got such a particular atmosphere about him. And the voice acting, in Japanese version at least, very good.
He's also very aware of what Godai is trying to do.
Well, kind of, because
he thinks... that's right.
The niece says, well, Godai was being so nice to me. I think he likes me. And him overhearing this is like...
Start a career, then you can ask...
He does assume that they are... He does ask
He does
her,
at some point assume that landlady and him are dating.
Yeah,
and then she goes like,
because of the fact that
really?
he keeps calling him father so insistently. But she's like, no, Dad, that's not happening. So they bring him to a gravesite, and they're like, you should pay respects.
And it says Soichiro on it. Oh my god, what? That's the dog's name.
And he comes up and he's like, I feel like fate's brought me here, so I'll offer my prayers. If I could ask, whose gravesite is this?
Oh, my husband's.
Just my husband. Whoa! Your husband's dead. This scene is honestly kind of epic. Like the way the wind picks up, and we get all these camera angles and like all this cool shit.
And it's really cute because she's like, I only got to... Actually, I think it's the dad monologuing first.
The dad tells him like she was only with him for like 6 months
after
and
they
then
got married.
Yeah.
He was her teacher, I believe, or something like that.
Oh, I had missed that part.
Yeah.
This guy died some time ago, but obviously still owns her heart. And the immediate conclusion Godai comes to is...
Well, only 6 months in, she never got to see any of the bad parts.
Exactly.
Like, come on, man.
Maybe she would have disliked him or seen something wrong with him eventually, but a dead man is perfect forever. She's only ever going to see him as everything that was good about him.
And, I like this quote a lot because it speaks volumes to the eventual successor to this show, Dead Man Wonderland.
A dead man is forever. Stop. He's now realizing, like, if I want to get with this girl, I am competing with her dead husband and the after image of him. But she
if you want to be my lover, you got to overshadow my dead husband.
He's like, well, I'm going to have to do that. And she has to move on. She needs to move on in her life. I need to become man enough for her to forget her husband, which I respect this attitude he's got. He literally says, like, I will become better better than her husband was just to win this girl. And then he walks into a puddle because he's not paying it, or not even a puddle, like the drainage ditch on the side of the road.
Yeah,
because he's not paying
really
attention.
Funny. Godai is a lot less creepy now.
I think now that it really feels like him coming to understand her circumstances changed his approach, where it's like now he gets why she's been standoffish, why it's hard to get close to her, why like everything about her just suddenly makes sense to him as soon as he learns this information. And that's why I said, like, it feels like the show really starts here. It's like, because Godai's in college now, we know what her deal is. Like they're both of their initial mysteries are kind of solved.
Yeah.
So now it's like, how are these two going to come together? How is she going to, learn to cope with the loss of her husband, and how is he going to get into that ass?
Get in that ass, Larry.
There's another anime that kind of has a similar plot to this, but where the ghost of the husband is still hanging around and like talking to the guy.
That's pretty funny. What is that?
It's Natsuyuki Rendezvous, and I never got to finish it, but we should. That would be a fun one to do a bonus episode on. Maybe I'll put it in the bonus episode pool or whatever. So that's Mason Ikoku. Do you need to pee or something? You've been standing up for a minute.
We're just sitting on beds.
Yeah, we've been
chairs.
There's no chairs in our current hotel room, so we're doing this like sitting both on the edges of the two beds that are in our room. It's not the best setup. It's a little difficult on the back.
Like I've seen some of this show. This looks familiar to me.
Probably because I think PA Works made it, and they made Another and some other shows you like.
Huh.
I think they did that. No, maybe I'm wrong. That was JC Staff. I'm wrong. Sorry. Kill me. Let's talk about Monster.
Doga Koba.
Oh, never mind. I was double wrong. It wasn't. I didn't even know they'd been around that long. Doga Kobo.
73.
Well, damn. Doga Kobo's been around a lot longer than I realized. All right. I am absolutely fed up with having a conversation about anything that isn't Monster right now. Monster, episode 6.
This is a really fun way to open this episode. So it's this woman. I assume she's the secretary for, like, the guy who works. Hey, it's Shade. Hi, Shade.
Hey.
I read Zom 100 not long ago, and I hope the anime stays one season.
Interesting. I guess that means that the story eventually
goes
downhill, probably, is what Shade's saying.
Anyway, so this starts off with secretary woman coming into kind of a chubby guy, smoking a cigarette, working in a newsroom, going, hey, there's this guy. He also hasn't had a bath.
Yeah, she's complaining
you should talk
about
to him.
His smell, and then about this other guy's smell. And, of course, it's Dr. Tenma. This show, I have complicated feelings about this show.
I feel like the show is just going to be like this episode and then maybe 2 or 3 lead-up episodes, this episode, and then 2 or 3 lead-up episodes, and then this episode, and then 2 or 3 lead-up episodes. Because, I mean, like, we know who the bad guy is. We know what he's doing. He's a monster. He's an evil person. We know his MO. I think the problem now is no one believes Tenma.
Right.
And so a bunch of people are just going to die because they're not trusting the crazy-sounding Japanese man saying, hey, you're going to die soon.
I think this show does a good job of, like, creating this entertaining, like, ebb and flow of information and, like, expectation of, like, ooh, what's like, this episode is basically all set up for an ending that leaves you thinking, uh-oh, you know, like, uh-oh, these guys are probably gonna die at the start of the next episode. But, like, it's simultaneously, like, it feels like I'm watching a cool murder mystery type show, but also the dialogue is just so, like, on the nose and obvious, I guess. Like, it's, to me, the writing in this show feels cheesy. And it feels cheesy because it is so devoted to, like, explaining and continuing the plot. But, like, while throwing in these little details that are meant to make you care about the characters. Like, I guess to contrast the writing of this show versus Steins Gate, for instance. Like, in this show, the first detail we learn about this guy, this fat guy, is, like, he doesn't smell good. The woman says he smells bad. As he's talking to Tenma, we see that he's kind of tired. We get into his thoughts a little bit, of his suspicions on Tenma, you know. But it's all, like, very reasonable, normal stuff. I guess that's what it is, just that the characters are so hyper-normal in this show, that, like, they just kind of always have the most obvious response to the situation. Whereas, like, Steins Gate, for instance, the characters are all kind of wacky, and so, you know, the situations, it feels like you get this more interesting smattering of reactions from all the characters to what's going on, and, like, the dialogue just makes them feel real and really fleshed out, and, like, you really know these characters and understand the peculiar ways that they think because you see their reactions almost every single time to what's happening. And a lot of people regard Steins Gate as having a really slow start because once you get to, like, episode 9, it becomes kind of like Monster. It becomes like a murder thriller, a mystery, you know, running around trying to save people right before the bad guy gets to them type of show. But you know exactly who all of the characters involved are, and that's why you care so much about the story from that point forward. And in this show, like, you know, Tenma is, like, a good guy, kind of naive. He's got an interesting arc, I think, ahead of him. But everybody else who gets introduced, they kind of feel like fodder to the plot of, like, these people exist to be killed. Or these people exist to, you know, further Tenma's development on his quest to stopping this killer. But, like, it's hard to feel like the characters are really interesting or important when like they really just kind of slip in a few lines about who they are and then like are put under the gun. Welcome back.
Under the gun. What do you mean welcome back? I didn't go anywhere. I've been here the whole time, just hanging out with my Grookey and the sleepy Triceratops.
So basically,
I'm kidding, guys. I went pee.
Tenma comes to this newspaper and he's like, I know that these twins, they were brought here at some point, and the boy ran off, and there should be like a missing persons report or something about it, and I just want to find out from those newspapers. So this guy's like, you sound fucking insane.
But we'll give you a night.
But I'll let you hang out in the file room and you can go through all the shit if you really want to. But he definitely doesn't believe Tenma.
The next morning, someone comes into his office and is like, hey, you know about that guy, right? And he goes, what guy? That crazy guy? He was like, yeah, I came across him, and he said you told him he could be here.
Yeah.
And then that stinky man is like, what, he's still here?
Yeah.
And then he barges in there, and he goes, yeah, you got to get the hell out of here. But Tenma's like falling over in his chair because he's distraught. They're really putting Tenma through it.
Oh, yeah, he's always going to be going through it, I think. So we've got the girl here, the sister. She's being interviewed by the school psychologist about, having passed out at the sight of a person. And she's like, I don't know who he is, but he gives me a really nostalgic feeling. And I feel like if I meet him again, I might remember all the shit that I have forgotten. I don't know how much the handling of, like, memory loss and trauma is like true
accurate
to life
to memory loss
show.
And trauma, sure.
But the characters are making their own guesses about it right now. This is what I mean about like, okay, so they're having a meeting to discuss the plot, but they'll throw in like, but my wife went back to her parents with her daughter, and maybe you should have quit smoking, and then she'd be back with you.
Yeah, because Tenma really hammers on this guy for smoking a lot.
Yeah, he is smoking a lot for what it's worth. Pretty much chain smoking. These characters also, like, these are
the
Nina
Fortner's adoptive parents. Yeah.
So at the end of the last episode, they were debating whether they were going to tell Nina, because they had said on her 20th birthday we're going to tell her we're not her real parents. In this scene, they decided against that. And I just remember watching the scene and thinking, like, well, these two are going to die.
Yeah.
Like, very soon. Like, just immediately... The sense of how homely and complete these people feel in their lives.
Yeah, because they're like, we could have a happy life. We don't need to. Yeah, we don't need to ruin Nina's.
Gonna die. I immediately clocked that in this scene, and then of course Nina, who is I guess a bit of a fucking moron, gets a mysterious email saying, hey, it's your birthday tomorrow, let's meet at Heidelberg Castle at 7 p.m. And she's like, I'm gonna do that by myself. Calls her
Not
parents,
a good idea.
I'm going to hang out with some friends at the castle instead of coming home. And they're like, we're literally making you a cake right now. Like, whatever. So the cop, basically Tenma has convinced him that he's convinced him, I think, of the existence of the guy and like the potential threat of...
Well, because this reporter man had visited one of the crime scenes, and he goes off on this really long monologue of like, there was no emotion to it. It was not like any other murdered scene I'd ever been at. It was pure evil. It was just like someone came about and stopped these people's lives. And he goes on to that for a while, and then he ends it with, if I ever saw that person, I would kill him without any hesitation.
And I wanted to note that line because I think this is something that's going to eventually haunt Tenma. I'm sure... I mean, not only did he save the kid's life, but he's probably going to have the opportunity to kill him at some point.
He's probably not going to.
It would probably not going to do it based on his personality. So I think it was important to establish, like, a very normal reaction to this guy's murders is like, yeah, this guy should be stopped. You should kill him instantly.
There's a sequel to this show?
I did not know that.
Another Monster.
What? I have not heard of this at all. Anyway, this is another place where the dialogue's a little cheesy to me, just because like so many characters have spent so many words on how this guy's just such a monster, man. He's just not even human, man. He's such a fucking monster. It's like, we get it. He's a bad guy. We don't have to talk about it all the time. And then this scene also is a little convenient. Tenma kind of gets jokered here. He gets
Joker.
He gets a little bit Dark Knight, The Dark Knight. He gets a little bit the Dark Knight.
He does get the Dark Knighted here.
Because so they show up to the house, and initially the parents are afraid, and it's clear that maybe they like don't legally own Nina or something.
No, I think they got rid of Johan on purpose. Is why they're worried.
Okay.
I think they realized Johan was fucking insane and they dumped him in a river or something.
So
we haven't learned that, but that's my best guess.
That could be it, because like, yeah, they show up and they're like, we know you took in these kids, like we need to talk to you about it, like your daughter's life is in danger. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, she went to the castle. So Tenma's like, give me the car and let me go stop that by myself.
Why, like, okay, so I get it.
So the cop's argument is we should call the police. The police should be here.
He's reporter.
Like, the reporter. Right. The reporter's like, we need to call the police, get the police here, then we'll be able to do something. He's like, no, there's not going to be enough time. Why did the reporter need to stay there to call the I guess
why didn't they all leave?
This is the 90s.
Why didn't they all leave?
Yeah, why didn't they all stick together? I don't know. It was just a bit of an odd. It felt very convenient that this guy was willing to let him like use his car this way, like, but also didn't think that it was threatening enough to go with it. I guess he's not a cop. He doesn't have a gun or anything.
No, but he's tuned in, you know.
Another Monster is not canon, apparently.
Oh, huh.
But yeah, I don't know. It was a little bit cheesy to me to let him do this, and of course that as soon as the second that he left the scene, I'm like, well, they're all dead. Like, Johan obviously just wanted to get him out of there, and now he's going to kill all these people. And that seems to be what the end of the episode suggesting is going to happen.
Oh, well, and then there's that guy, too. There's the crazy guy with the garden shears. But, like, what's Johan's plan here? What does he think? So, Nina loves her family.
Yeah.
What is he going to accomplish by killing them and then taking her?
He's taking her away, and it doesn't fucking matter what she thinks.
What, she just wouldn't know, or I don't know.
I don't know what he's. I guess we'll find out more of that later. But
I guess. But anyway, so this guy's here. He's got garden shears. Nina's talking about leaving, and this guy's like, no, I have to make you stay here. I won't get paid unless I make you stay here. And
so he's coming after her. And luckily, she knows judo, so she just kind of...
And Tenma shows up also.
Yeah. She just kind of ends this guy's ass and ties him up and goes off with Tenma in a car. And he's like, look, your life's a fucking lie. I know who you really are. I took care of you and your brother in the hospital. You're Nina, and you had a brother named Johan. Or you're not Nina, you're Anna, and you have a brother named Johan. And she's like, brother? And that's how the episode ends.
Oh, so, brother. Actually, the episode ends with Shears guy being tied up and footsteps coming up towards him, and he like turns himself around and goes, oh no, it's you. And then we assume he dies.
And there was also a scene of the line is cut back at the house. Like, they're trying to call the cops and the line's already been cut.
That was right after Tenma left.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the next episode. I expect some people to die. I will say that, like, the way that this ended felt like enough of a thrilling setup that I feel like, alright, cool, like, maybe the next episode will be really hard-ass, you know? Like, maybe some crazy shit's gonna happen. But, like, the path to getting there, you know, taken by itself does kind of feel a little bit cheesy. I can see why people feel like they need to marathon this show, because, like, if you get all that build-up and then you go right into the payoff, you're just going to remember the payoff. You're not really going to remember the build-up part unless you're intimately focusing on it like we are. But, like, this show did air week by week. Like, this is the format that it was originally consumed in. So, you know, I think it's okay. It's kind of fun. It's kind of thrilling. It's still going to have to do a lot of crazy shit before I'm really going to be like, oh, wow, you know, like, that was a crazy adventure.
What are we, 6 episodes in?
Yeah.
God.
Out of, like, 70.
Yeah, I know. It's good. I'm not as, let's say, afraid that it might not be good and I wouldn't want to watch all 70 episodes.
Right, as you had been.
But Amy had also added the perspective of, like, stop treating it like anime. It's supposed to be like a procedural thing. Like it's
Sure.
kind of a real life grounded thing.
And it's also it's a manga and a very direct manga adaptation too.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that like they did a lot of good stuff to make the atmosphere of the anime feel cool, but at the same time, I do think it is somewhat limited by having to be so accurate. You know, it's hard for me to treat something like it's not anime if it is anime.
Do you think Johann Liebert eventually discovered the puzzle box from Hellraiser and became a Cenobite?
Probably
I feel like he'd
not.
be a really good Cenobite.
I also want to mention, as I have before, that like Guillermo del Toro was going to do a live action adaptation of Monster. I think it would be better. Like I think a live action HBO like full budgeted adaptation would just be more interesting because the characters can have way more nuanced expressions on their faces. In this show, everyone's face is kind of frozen because it's a manga still. You don't really have, like, animated facial expressions in the way that even, like, Pokemon here has. So, like, I do think it just is... It underutilizes the medium towards its goals, in my mind, despite being quite well made.
So if I may take a moment in between anime, I'd like to air out my grievances with alcoholic kombucha. Now, all kombucha is alcoholic, but most of it is only like less than 0.5% or something.
Right.
I specifically bought alcoholic kombucha that's like, you know, maybe this isn't a complaint, to be honest with you. It's like 7-8% alcohol, which is strong. Like, that's stronger than most beers. I've had 2 of them now, and my tummy feels good. I don't feel drunk. So, I'm not sure. I feel like the kombucha, the positive effects of the kombucha are canceling out the negative effects of the alcohol. And I don't know if that's something I'm... Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out on air live right now.
You sound enthusiastic.
It feels good. I don't feel bad. I don't feel like shit-faced. It's just... What am I going after from drinking? I guess.
Existential.
I told you I was going to be existential tonight.
Drinking right now. Pokemon Horizons. This was one of the better episodes of this show so far.
Amy has asked this twice now because she said. Well, actually, she hadn't asked it twice. She asked it once, but earlier she said we this weekend lived through The Night Is Short, Walk On Girl.
Yeah.
Now she's asking, have I seen that? No.
Very good movie though. It's basically like.
Oh, the woman stays like 3 days in a town or something, right?
No. This is about a woman getting drunk all night.
What am I thinking of?
Keto's Journey.
Keto's Journey, okay.
Anyway.
Oh, wow, this looks awesome.
Yeah, it's like the same team as Tatami Galaxy and written by the same
okay, that makes sense.
Original novel author.
Okay, yeah, I'd totally check that out.
Okay.
Oh my god. A whole other Patreon tier for a show. We watch anime movies.
We've talked about all kinds of possibilities for this show. It's just a matter of having the fucking time. And concentrating on doing the show. Pokemon Horizons, episode 17.
Am wholly concentrated.
One of the best episodes of this show so
great.
far.
Dynamics between Pokemon. It's adorable.
My favorite episodes of Pokemon are always the ones that focus on the relationships of the Pokemon themselves, because I just want to watch the cute little things
interact with the other cute little things.
They're all basically like somewhere between like human babies and like adult animals, so they're hilarious creatures.
I would say, like, I don't remember its... Kaiden is its Japanese name.
Yeah.
But so this is Kaiden, this is Hogeter, but some people are watching it subbed, so I remembered Wattrel and Fuikoko. I think Kaiden/Wattrel does a pretty good portrayal of, like, a young bird.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I don't know a whole lot about young birds, but he seems like really prideful and into his own thing. He gets annoyed by Fuikoko being fucking annoying.
Well, so like it's kind of nuanced what exactly annoys him about Fuikoko, but it's basically described as his overwhelming presence.
Oh, hang on.
That like
Ellen said if we do watch Kino's Journey, we have to have her as a guest on.
Okay, well, that will be a bonus episode if it happens, and they'll have to be voted for, and, we'll see what happens.
All right, Ellen, start stacking votes.
So,
Bird doesn't know about birds? I'm not actually a real bird. I know it might be confusing.
Shocking.
I know a lot of you.
Right. This is not okay.
A lot of you have thought that I was just like a parrot or a cockatiel on Beatrice's shoulder this whole time.
You thought we were giving TMI on this show already. It's reached like way beyond the
But
impossible.
I'm not even a real bird. Holy shit.
So the way that this conflict is first established is Hogator keeps blocking the sunlight. Like, just literally...
Oh, I thought it was just that he's annoyed by the singing.
No, it's that he keeps trying to be in the sun, and Hogator keeps casting a shadow on him. Because
Stand somewhere else,
big.
you dumb bird.
Yeah, well, he does. Like, every time he moves, Hogator will somehow manage to move in a way that continues blocking him. He's trying. Look, he's trying. Hogator's just a lot. And he's loud, and him and Roy always sing the Hogator song together. There's not a song.
Although I will say, I don't think we've heard the Hogator song for 3 episodes at least, so I was happy to have that come back.
Yeah, no, it comes back a few times, and it's very nice. So, but Kaiden is jealous of the Hogator song and of all the attention, and finally just starts snapping. Kaiden doesn't have a super long fuse. It's like, look, if I'm not getting the attention, I'm gonna cry about it.
Like me.
And so Hogator and Kaiden start having it out, and Roy's like, what do I do about this? Meanwhile, something I've come to appreciate about this show that was a little bit of a struggle at first is all of the slice of life scenes, because there are certain characters who still don't feel very established or who really don't get to do much of anything.
Who do you feel like isn't very well established?
Engine Girl.
Oh, Fire Lady, yeah.
Engine Girl has not really... She runs the engines. I guess Dot Grandpa's had some moments. The Cooks had some moments. Chancy Girls had, like, a scene. But most of the time, they just kind of comment on what is happening with the main characters.
Do you need to know more about the Engine Girl except for this?
Firewoman song by The Cult. I mean, she is the Firewoman. Anyway.
Fire!
Smoke shields are rising!
Fire!
You're sure those kombuchas didn't get you drunk, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Alright, so she's...
Smokestack lightning.
Liko is being asked if she has ever considered maybe
getting
another Pokemon. And she's like, I really haven't.
I just got Nyahoja.
She's like, I can't even picture it, she says. Which, I guess lets us know that maybe she's not someone we should be worried about getting a Pokemon anytime soon. Or maybe this is foreshadowing that she will picture it soon. I don't know. In any case, Roy comes out to the deck, and it turns out that Charizard and Captain Pikachu are having a fucking spar.
Who?
Charizard?
Lizardon.
Lizardon and Pikachu are having a big old spar. And
is Charmander's Japanese name like Lizard something?
I don't know. But the... Hogator, we already know, is like admires Charizard for being like a super strong fire type. And it turns out...
Oh my god. Charmander's name is literally... Well, it's Hitokage, which is fire lizard.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Right. The Japanese names are very literal. Anyway, the... what's the bird called again?
English or Japanese?
Japanese.
Kaiden.
Kaiden is immediately inspired by Pikachu because it sees Thunder Punch and is like, oh shit, that's a super strong electric type. So Roy, realizing like, oh, Kaiden wants to learn more from Pikachu, let's have them fight. So he decides to do a 2-on-1 with Captain Pikachu once again. Kaiden and Hogator fighting against him. And Captain Pikachu obviously makes quick work of them. Roy is struggling to try to get them to fight together.
Well, and it specifically ends with Hogator tackling Kaiden, and so it's all back to square one. There's turbulence going on. Everyone's gone inside.
Pikachu jumps out of the way and causes them to crash into each other and therefore be mad at each other again. And Roy's like, you were fighting together just fine. But yeah, so they hit turbulence. Kaiden is almost blown away and has to, like...
Kaiden flies back, and we see his wings charging up with electricity, and Roy goes, oh... that move Spark can be more powerful if Kaiden is flying.
Yes.
Because apparently Wattrol's Kaidens, they generate electricity by soaring through the air. That's their big thing.
So in this scene where he's rescuing Kaiden, he also learns that it rescues him back, like a piece of debris is flying at him, and it uses a move to break that debris. And she points out, like, oh, it's because of the accelerated winds. So if we can find a way to use that in battle, we'll be able to use a more powerful attack. Liko is starstruck about Gurumin, about realizing that Dot is Gurumin.
Which, she realized this in the last episode, but she's, like, pacing outside of Dot's door, like, Gurumin's in there.
She can't deal with it. I've seen the reactions of people who feel this way about meeting me. It's adorable. I can't help but wonder if she is, like... It's interesting because Dot was already her friend, and now she perceives her differently. Like, oh, you're Gurumin now, and like, she's like very shy about it. My headcanon, of course, my Yuri goggles are on, so I was looking at this and I'm like,
oh yeah, Dot and Liko are gonna.
I'm shipping it. I want it.
So now, instead, take those Yuri goggles off and put on your Mushoku Tensei goggles.
Oh boy,
Roy,
I don't have Mushoku Tensei.
Roy is going to date both of them.
Well, that was my other idea. Is I want it to be a love triangle where Liko's in love with both of them, because I think that would be cute.
Okay.
Where she wants
that would be adorable.
Into Dot, and she has to sort of, I don't know. Because she also is impressed with Roy in this episode. I don't think this show's going to do anything romantic at all, by the way.
No, it wouldn't make any sense. It's a children's show.
Pokemon has never explored romance in any serious way.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure Freed and the pink-haired Pokemon Center chick, they're banging. Right? They have to be. The Nurse Joy that's not a Nurse Joy anymore and Freed.
Why them? What makes...
They're just the ones that, like, communicate the most. I mean, I guess Freed talks to Cook Guy a lot too, but like it seems like the kind of the pecking order on the ship. I believe
they were all banging. They fly around.
You're right.
A bunch of hot people flying around on a ship.
This is another reason to get an RV, is because we can just have our own. Exactly, and we'll just have 5 people driving around the United States banging.
Enough of our sexual fantasies about the children's anime.
No, my sexual fantasies are very purely tied to the real world in an RV and a national park.
A Hogator and the bird to do this crazy plan where they're going to...
They worked this out before too, where like Roy's coordinating with them, and it's really cute.
He spends all night practicing this move where they're going to...
And he goes, look, it's all 3 of us doing this move together.
Basically drop Pikachu from the sky.
No. So he throws Hogator and Kaiden, and Hogator uses Ember to kind of create like a propulsion. So they go up higher and higher and higher, and then Hogator drops, Kaiden is in the air, Hogator goes to the ground, starts doing Embers at Pikachu on the ground, and then Kaiden uses the momentum they've saved up in the air to use a even more powerful spark, and it almost gets Cap. It knocks off Cap's hat.
Yeah, Cap gets pissed and immediately beats their asses. But
I think they even go so far to say, like, Freed. I think it's Freed, and he goes, man, Cap really never takes it easy on anybody.
No, that was me who said that.
Oh, that's funny.
But he says, Freed says, you got serious for a moment, didn't you, about Cap having... Because he got his hat knocked off. So we see Cap, like, hardcore training, shine sparking around. So it's implied in this episode, and by the next episode preview, Cap is flying. This Pikachu, what he's doing right here is implied to be literal flying, and that's how he got out of their pincer attack, is that he just like flew. He is literally a flying Pikachu in that he flies a ship all the time.
Well, I know you can teach Pikachu surf.
You've never been able to teach Pikachu fly before.
Oh. Terratypes. I don't think I explained this to you, but the mechanic introduced in Scarlet and Violet is terastallizing, which is where the Sudowoodo battle we saw in this show. Your Pokemon can be a different type. I would bet Cap's Terratype is flying.
That would be wild. That would be crazy.
It would also be stretching the rules of terastallizing a lot, but...
Alright, that was Pokemon. It was good. It was cute. It was fun. I liked it. Now it's time for Steins Gate.
Sorry, if I can take a quick aside, isn't it nice that we can just cover good shows now?
Yeah, it is.
You don't have to worry about, let's say, for example, not naming any names. Just as a random thought, what if I got reincarnated as a vending machine?
Well, luckily that show wasn't...
Oh my god, we're between anime, so technically I get to read this super chat. Gary Always for $5. Have you watched Tenet? If you haven't watched Tenet, watch Tenet. That movie is vibes. Best time travel movie ever. I watched Tenet on a plane ride to California, and I really liked it.
Funny you say that, because I've heard people make fun of, like, watching Tenet on a plane because it's such a sound-focused movie, and the sound of the engines, like, takes...
It was great. I mean, I don't think I lost anything. I'd have to rewatch it again, preferably with you, because you didn't really watch all of it with me.
I didn't see any of it. Not a single bit.
It's a really good movie. I liked it quite a bit.
We haven't seen Oppenheimer yet either.
Yeah, we're going to have to do that pretty soon, too. Damn it. It's just 3 fucking hours, man.
Ellen said good shows plus Mushoku Tensei. Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah,
it's like, well, I mean, we are still watching one ass thing.
It's animation's all right. It's not the worst thing ever to watch.
It's been so much worse since season 3 started. Like, seasons 1 and 2 were... I mean, season 1 took a long time to really get watchable. Season 2 was watchable. Season 3 has not really been that watchable to me. Anyway, Steins Gate. This episode is going to be a little bit difficult for me to talk about because it's one of those where most of it kind of makes more sense on a rewatch. And it feels...
Yeah, so if I can say something.
Yeah.
If you have the choice to watch this show without someone who has seen it before, do that. Because
you're not constantly being teased with...
I'll be sitting next to Beatrice watching Steins Gate here, and something will come up, and she goes, "Oh my god, that's..." And then she stops.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what is it? I want to know.
So it is frustrating, kind of, that like the show takes.
This is also sorry.
Explain
I had mentioned this about Gundam as well.
Yeah.
This is also a show that I found impossible to spoil for myself. Like it's really hard.
It's too complicated.
Well, because the wiki is like you can go on the. Usually, how I will spoil the stories for stuff on animes, I'll go onto the wiki, I'll go onto the main character, and I'll just read plot.
Yeah.
With this show, it's like the wiki is a mix of the game and the anime and all of the different timelines that are occurring at any given point. So I'm like, I don't know what the main timeline is. None of this means anything to me.
Well, and I'm sure that most of that is way more complicated than this one show will explore, because there's also the whole sequel anime that, like...
is not good, right?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Depending on who you talk to plenty of people, Steins Gate Zero is the natural next step sequel that is as much a part of the story to them as the main show. I watched Steins Gate Zero and I went, yeah, I'm going to forget that happened and just concentrate on the original show that I still like.
What is your... Sorry. I know you've explained this in videos, but I am genuinely curious if you can like sum it up in a sentence. What is your problem with the sequel most than over everything else?
It's very unnecessary.
Okay. What do you mean? They're exploring like a timeline?
It doesn't add anything interesting to the story.
It's just seeing more of the characters.
It's a lot of it is just the characters like hanging out and doing shit. And I know that's also true of these early episodes of Steins Gate, but
there's always the looming threat of CERN in the background.
And also this is all establishing the characters. Oh, there's looming threats in the other show, but it's the writing is fucking chaos in that show, and in this one the writing it feels really tight, because like, if again, having seen the show, like everything that's happening makes sense, and everything that doesn't feel like it makes sense on a first viewing, like you will be very clear on what's going on if you watch the show again. Most of this stuff is meant to create a feeling of like unease and mystery, which is important because at this stage in the story, nothing really dramatic has happened. No one's dead. No one's been attacked by a government agency. Nothing crazy is going on.
Well, someone had died.
A human is dead. Is the most we've gotten.
So well, no, I'm talking about Christina.
Oh yeah,
we saw her dead.
Kurisu had died in the first episode and mysteriously.
And also,
dead.
We saw way more than one person is dead from that.
Yeah,
there were a bunch of them because they tried it a bunch more times because I guess CERN is evil. I don't want to talk too much about how CERN is evil, even though they literally are the villains of the show. Because what if CERN is evil?
Oh well, this anime's existed for a long time and they didn't get put down. I think they chose CERN specifically because it's like the most benign corporation that, like, why would CERN be evil? They're like Swedish scientists. They're just a bunch of nerds. Anyway, this episode is very much crawling back into that kind of paranoid headspace where it's interesting. For me, watching this episode, my feeling was like, wow, Okabe is not as paranoid as he should be. That's kind of the comedy of watching it back.
I feel like he's not actually
he's not
paranoid.
Really that paranoid.
He's
socially awkward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most of the things he's doing that I think the people around him attribute to like paranoia, he's just doing to get out of conversations.
Yes, exactly. And the more we've come to understand him at this point, like, you know, in the first episode it was like, well, is he just a schizo or is everything real? And now it's like, well, he's not just a schizo. So everything is real, and that's kind of the pendulum is shifting.
I don't even know
way.
if I do think he is a schizo anymore.
Yeah.
Because, like, he keeps getting called out on the phone thing.
Yeah, that it's just an act he's doing.
And he kind of has been responding to it, of like, oh, whoops. Or like, specifically what it was in this episode, the reporter girl. She only communicates through text.
Yeah, she texts
and
him
he's
while
on
he's
the phone. And he's
call.
like, you can't text me while I'm on the phone. And it's like, then you're doing a bit,
right,
is what's happening. You don't want the bit to be shattered.
Exactly.
Maybe he is schizo. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I just don't think he is.
The thing about this episode is he's pretending to be paranoid. He should have actually been paranoid.
Yeah. As someone who likes to live their life in a pretty grandiose, kind of mythic, annoying way, no. Okarin's doing it wrong. He's doing it fun. I'm not going to say he's not having fun about it, but...
Oh, well, the fun's going to stop. Don't worry. Moeka is this reporter girl. They're trying to interview her in the streets, and she just kind of runs away. She was investigating the scene of the satellite crash.
It's easier to type email. This is revealed later in the episode.
She just says it's easier to do typing than to speak.
There's got to be a reason for that, right?
I don't remember exactly what is explained, but I mean, I think her character is meant to be based on a certain kind of stereotype of a person who just lives in their phone.
Okay.
There's a character like this in the anime Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei as well, who, like, she won't speak, she'll only talk through the flip phone, and like, Japan had flip phones for a really long time because the way that you type characters is, like, easy to do fast on them. So there was just, like, a massive culture of, like, especially girls writing novels on their flip phones, called phone novels, and usually posted in, like, tweet-sized bits, like sentence by sentence.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so, like, I think she's meant to be, like, kind of the stereotype of the woman buried in her phone who won't speak, but... we will eventually learn more about her. And about this girl, who is basically constantly just saying things that are like, I'm from the future.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know what beef bowl is. I've only heard rumors about it.
Hey, I really don't like Christina.
Did something happen to you two in the past? Well, not in the past. We get it. We get it. She's from the fucking future. Come on.
So, question.
Yeah.
As someone who's seen this show before, is there a way they could have told this story that made more sense?
I think it would have made more sense, but not been as good.
Okay.
Because, again, I really do think that, like, for me, I really love the first 9 episodes of the show because they go so deep on establishing the characters and who they are in a normal setting. Where, like, even though they think they are doing... Well, they are doing mad science. They are successfully doing mad science.
I mean, this episode literally has Ocarine standing over electricity, having an evil laugh, so yes.
They're doing mad science, but from the perspective of people who never really thought they were going to succeed at this, they were just doing it for fun. Okabe was playing an over-the-top science character, trying to do funny, wacky experiments. He grouped in, a tech nerd who wants to hook different gadgets together, and the girl that has just been kind of following him around since he was a kid, and this is just, like, their hobby. And then when they accidentally discover time travel and the, this big conspiracy by CERN and a murdered Makise Kurisu, and then suddenly they've got a real scientist helping them out, and now they're really doing real science, and it's like, it just keeps becoming more real, like, oh, I was just being funny about all this stuff, but now I'm starting to realize that everything I'm saying is legitimate, and, like, there's an element of that is making Okabe kind of insane, like, even if he wasn't really... Like, in that first episode, he is losing his mind. Like, he can't understand what the fuck is going on. Like, Kurisu keeps appearing before him, saying gibberish.
Yeah.
Like, if they hadn't gotten this far where he's pretty confident, like, okay, time travel exists, this explains how we got here, so now I don't feel like an idiot, but now I also feel like we are stepping on the toes of this secret organization that really doesn't want any of this information out there, Should we be more worried? Yes.
How long is this show again?
24 episodes, I think.
When does it stop being fun?
Episode, 9 is when stuff starts to hit the fan, and then I think episode 11 is when it's like, uh-oh. Like, this is going to be fucked from now on. But, it never stops being fun to watch.
Yeah. No, as long as Mayushi keeps coming in going...
They'll get plenty of toot-to-do. So, this is an example of what I was saying before about how, like, in Monster, the conversations are always about the plot with little tidbits of character thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
In this show, they'll be, like, having a plot conversation that has bits of character thrown in, and then they'll just have a whole other conversation that's mostly the character
unrelated
bits, like, mostly set up, going back through, like, reestablishing the interactions, the way these characters feel about each other, this whole conversation where they're trying to name the thing, and it reveals something about each of their personalities, that, like, Okabe's initial ideal is, like, the nostalgic drive, and they're like, that's too complicated, that's too dorky, but then everybody else's answer is something stupid too, where, like, Daru's saying, the male that leapt through time, in reference to the movie The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, even going so far as to use that movie's shortening of a title, Tokikake. I don't remember what Kurisu comes up with, but Mayushi comes up with DeLorean mail in reference to the DeLorean, the time-traveling car, and so she's like, what if we just called it D-mail? And so D-mail it is, and they experiment with the D-mail, they figure out it can only send, like, so many characters at a time. There's a scene where Mayuri is petting Kurisu, and the subtitles of, I believe Ocarine screams, like, stop putting up, like, a Yuri field or something like that. It was a lesbomographic field in the subtitles, was the phrase they chose. There's a part where Daru's, like, basically Moeka is trying to talk to Ocarine outside of the base, not realizing that he's not carrying his cell phone on him, so she keeps trying to text him and failing, and then Daru's like, oh, hot chick, let me introduce myself, and she completely stonewalls him, and he's like, even I had hopes for the 3D world once. This is an important character detail of Daru. Daru is definitely into 3D women. The show has emphasized this a few times because he likes the pink-haired girl.
Yeah.
He likes Moeka. the fact, lots of otaku, they say they're not into 3D, or maybe it's just a way to get away from expectations. But this is a man who is willing to try to introduce himself to a hot chick. He's not even as socially awkward as Okarin, honestly.
No, Daru's a Chad. Of the two of them, absolutely.
Yeah, and that will be important going forward in this show, that Daru is a Chad. So this sequence I had totally forgotten about. He has a fucking trippy-ass dream where it's like he's going through a black hole and seeing the center of time, and he's being told that, like, every moment feels like an eternity. There's a part where he's like, when will the next second come? Like, he's just having this fucked up acid dream, basically. It's not really clear what this means at all. I had forgotten this happens. I'm going to bet that this might be when he somehow gained the ability to, like, because basically he can keep memories across world lines. That's why in the first episode, he still remembers seeing Kurisu's death, even though he's not in that universe anymore. I don't remember if they ever explain how he gets this ability, necessarily. So I'm thinking it might have happened here, because this feels like the Fullmetal Alchemist seeing the truth kind of moment. And he has this dream, like, not long after just, like, having the realization of, oh god, like, are we really not making a mistake by diving too deeply into this whole CERN thing? So then he wakes up in the morning, and Moeka has showed up at his house, demanding to see the IBN computer.
Which was her introduction to the show, right? Yes,
she has been trying to get him to show her any information about this computer the whole time they've known each other, which is, I think, what got him looking for it in the first place.
Yeah.
Was that she had mentioned it, and so he was like, okay, it must be important. But he's
an asshole.
I think Okarin's problem is that he really wants the chance to show off and talk about all this shit, even if he's putting on the persona of, oh, I have to keep it all secret because it's all super important, but, like, he doesn't want to keep it secret. He super wants people to know it.
If you invented a time machine?
No, obviously not.
And that's why you die.
But, like, he's really trying to keep her away from the thing, but he ends up letting her inspect it, and then she's like, can I borrow it? And he's like, no, because I have to give it back. But he tells her where he got it from. That was probably a mistake. And then, basically, everybody else comes into the room and just starts saying,
hey, we have a time machine.
You want to work on the time machine? Let's talk about that time machine. And Moeka's like, what's this about a time machine? And he's like, nothing. They're just full of shit. And then, like, every single person keeps talking about it. So then he freaks out. He pulls out the phone. And he's just like, I don't know how to deal with my fucking idiot friends. All right, okay, yep.
And then she texts him in the middle of it.
Yeah, she texts him while he's doing this. He's like, you fucking... And then he just kind of decides, hey, what if I just made her the 5th lab member?
Oh my god.
So there you go. Now she's a part of the crew, maybe.
Is this a mistake?
Probably. This is probably a mistake.
Okay.
This is probably a big... This episode filled me with a creeping sense of dread just based on, like, oh no, like... This is really where Okabe kind of... Like, he knew that maybe he was going too deep. He was going too deep.
Why did he make the... I mean, I guess it makes sense to make a reporter number 5 lab member, because if you're really making scientific discoveries, you know?
Yeah. I think he's just thinking that keep my... Like, I can't figure out her intentions, so I'm just going to keep her close. Like, I've already told her too much, so now we'll just pretend like that was intentional and she's just a part of the group now, you know? Like...
He's not a smart guy.
He's...
For as smart of a guy as
he tries. He tries. He has some good ideas. There's a part where he realizes that... Because they initially couldn't recreate the D-mail situation, but then he realizes that it's probably connected to the time of day. And so if we do it at the same time of day, maybe it'll work, and that does work. He hasn't quite figured out why it works at the same time of day. There's a bit of a hint in this episode in that the guy below is always watching the big TV when they're doing the experiments, which he is not happy about, the fact that it creates all this rumbling noise. There's just so many little details in this show. Like, I think that's how it gets away with taking so long for the plot to really start. And obviously some people disagree. Again, there are plenty of people who are like, yeah, you really got to get through those first 9 episodes or whatever. But, like... To me, this is why I care about the world and characters, is that there's so much detail packed into fleshing them out. And I think that's it for that show, so there's only one left. My favorite anime that we're talking about. Revolutionary Girl Utena.
This
Are you
episode
ready?
was certainly strange.
Are you ready to go in on Utena?
I mean, I liked it. It was not a bad episode.
Oh,
it was
great.
just.
It was fantastic.
I'm going to say this out front here. Where the fuck are all the animals coming from? And I will not accept Anthony's room as an answer.
I hope they're coming from Anthony's room. We might get an answer eventually. I'm not sure. The show does like to answer some random questions sometimes. This is our first Nanami episode.
Our first? There's more?
Oh yes. There's at least once per season an episode dedicated to Nanami experiencing some incredibly fucking surreal situations in order to really get to the root of her character.
Which is, she's the worst.
She is the worst, but in a way that's
The worst.
pathetic and kind of endearingly adorable. She's just...
Yeah, like, you know, I would totally degrade her in a puppy outfit.
She's just... Yeah, she's not a great person. But she's also...
I'm not a great person.
Just, yeah, pathetic. So this episode starts off with she's being stalked. She, like, falls over in the streets. She almost gets hit by a car and called a strange girl because she's being stalked and she's freaking out. She doesn't know what to do about it. So she's begging her brother, Toga, you know, they want to kill me because of how stylish and cute and popular and wonderful I am. You gotta
And both
protect
of us
me.
at this
You gotta
point go,
protect me,
oh,
big
that's
brother."
why they want to
Yeah,
kill
yeah,
you?
that's
Really,
totally what-
Nanami, whose only exposure we've had in this show is you fucking with other people?
Yeah. Well, what I really love about the way this episode treats this character, like, when she first showed up, she was, like, Disney villain. Like,
Yeah.
like, you know, evil stepsister, like, ruining the ball, like, traumatizing Anthe, like, just absolutely hateable. The next time she shows up, she's kind of trying to do that again, but she just keeps getting clowned on, because now Anthe's anticipating it and has the leg up on her. And also, you know, she's Miki. It was also the Miki episode. This one, like, makes it clear that she's always scheming. She's always trying to get one over on somebody, but she fails frequently. And her failures are hilarious because nobody likes her. Nobody's willing to help her out. Nobody's willing to take care of her because she sucks so much. So, like... You know, she's begging her brother, like, please help me, please. And he's just like, nah, deal with this yourself. It sounds like you're just being crazy. So then Miki is talking to Nanami's group, her posse, about this. And he's like, you know, is there anybody who would have it out for her? And they're like, well, they wouldn't know it was her because her policy is not to get her own hands dirty. And, like, they're just literally, like, telling him, yeah, no, she's a real piece of shit. There's plenty of people who would have a problem with her. And she's just like, I can't believe you guys, like, nobody's got my back.
Well, no, I mean, they are saying they wouldn't know it was her. Like... oh, and then...
She gets brained by a baseball.
Utena throws a fucking baseball at her face.
Unintentionally.
Sure.
But, so then Nanami's like, this was all you, wasn't it? You've been trying to fucking kill me. You've been the one doing all these things. And Utena's like, don't be ridiculous. I don't want to kill you. We're just friends, right? Or not friends, but we're just classmates. So then they stumble upon the Rose Garden, and in the Rose Garden, Toga is talking to Anthe, and they're talking about killing something, making them all go away,
yeah, this was
getting
really
rid of them, and like.
Because Anthe's like, I don't want to kill them, you know, I can't do it.
It's pretty obvious to us as intelligent viewers that they are talking about killing pests in the garden. Anthe, being a pacifist, would not even kill a bug.
Absolutely not clear to me. I figured Anthe wasn't going to be killing people, but I didn't really know what they were talking about.
I mean, it's just because she says things like, you know, even a small life is still a life, and like maybe if we just wait, they'll go away on their own. And I'm like, okay, yeah, she's talking about bugs in the garden. But Nanami overhears this and imagines this whole romantic tryst between them and how they're going to betray her and kill her. So now she's convinced that her brother is trying to murder her, which is the only person she cares about in the world. So she's really fucking not all right.
She's distraught. She goes up to a fourth grader.
Hold on. I guess I missed...
Oh, you missed the clip where they introduced the fourth grader.
Well, I was supposed to have a clip of... there's a moment where Miki just flat out says to Utena at, like, the lunch table, like, she's obsessed with her brother. Oh, actually, you know what? That is after this. Never mind. Yeah, the way that this happens...
But so Miki and Utena are basically following Nanami around because they're like, oh, she's different, she's changed, she's met someone. Is it an older guy? And no, it wasn't an older guy.
There was a scene of someone comes to help her after she's fallen and, like, offers her a handkerchief. And, like, we just see them shadowed, so we don't know who it is at
I think
first.
they saved her life, is what it was.
Yeah, they save her, and the whole episode, she's all aglow. She's like, I'm going to meet this guy who saved my life after school today, and they're following her around, and every hot guy they see, they're like, could it be him? Could it be him? And then dramatic reveal, it's
Could it be you?
It's a...
Do you know what I'm doing there?
Yes, I know
Okay,
what you're doing.
thank you.
Here we go. So yeah, basically, Nanami's dating this 4th grader, and Utena's like, is she, like, serious about this? What's going on? And Miki's like, look, all she cares about is her brother. Whatever this is, it is somehow a ploy to get at Toga. So, like, you know, just count on all she cares about is him. To the rest, she sees the rest of us as parsley, he says. He holds up a parsley, and he's like, we are just parsley to her. Quickly, their relationship develops into her making him do everything.
What's his name again?
Oh my god, it was like some
Mayabaki, right?
No.
Oh, hang on.
Mochizuki something.
I think I'm closer than you are with that one.
Anyways, yeah, she immediately takes over this kid's life and has just made him a slave for her.
Suwabuki. I feel like she says Suwabaki.
Mitsuru Tsuwabuki.
But anyway, she basically anytime she's running up in any kind of problem, goes, Suwabuki.
Yep, and summons this kid to help out. So, yeah, this is how she would treat her boyfriends or whatever. But basically, it's just anybody who's not Toga. Like, she just doesn't respect anyone but him. But if you are willing to do things for her, then she is willing to use you. That's pretty much her policy. I would say that Nanami is the perfect example of toxic femininity in this anime. Most of the men have had very toxic masculine portrayals, and I would say also this kid is suffering a terrible case of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but he's like 10.
Yes, but it is what is allowing him to be put in this situation. Is his toxic idea of what it is to be a man is to rescue...
To protect Nanami.
Yeah, rescue her, which in this case literally means be at her beck and call at all times. And of course, her view is like, yeah, like everyone exists to serve me, and if you don't, then, you know, you're extra worthless. There's a bit where they're watching this happen, and Sayonji comes up and is like, well, you know, some people just like to be abused. It's just like my relationship with Anthe, our hidden love. And he's like holding his exchange diary, trying to get them to pay attention, and they're like, fuck off, Sayonji, we don't care. Get
He
out
is
of
the
here.
worst. He does look great, though.
It's a really funny scene. So 3 guys who are obsessed with Nanami and follow her around show up, and they're like, we can't have you dating this child, so we're going to kick his ass. And she's like, well, you know, he's a real man, so he's gonna fight for me. And so they have a big, stupid fucking brawl. He manages to beat all their asses, but gets his ass
like
kicked.
dead.
And Nanami's just like watching the sky, like commenting about how nice it is outside as these men are all beating each other up over her. This is what she's about. This is what she's into. So Utena sees this and it's just like, this is sick. You're a real bitch. Why are you like this? And Nanami's like, yeah, whatever. So then she asks the kid, like, why are you obsessed with Nanami? And he reveals that at some point when he was a kid, he saw her almost getting run over by a bull. And he runs
So hang on,
in to
up
try
until
and...
this point, this is the second animal running around from this episode. What was the first one? Because you didn't get a screen cap of it.
Oh, yeah, he saved her from some kind of rampaging animal in a
Giraffe?
similar fashion.
It was some kind of strange animal.
Yeah, there was some kind of strange animal that he had to protect her from. And then it turns out that in her past...
He's done this before.
He was going to do it, but then Toga came in and just, like, punched out this bull, I guess. And he realized that Toga was such a badass that he wants to be
that's
just
right. He
like
doesn't
him.
even want to, like, date Nanami. He just wants to be a Good
he just
big
wants
brother.
to be Toga. Now, in this moment, as he is saying this next to Utena, I could not help but think, oh, there's a bit of a parallel being drawn here, because someone else in this show already was inspired to spend all of their life trying to be a cool prince-like figure that protects women to the detriment of their own safety and health. So
it's pretty funny how many people in our chat want to literally murder Nanami. I can't disagree with them. I would degrade her in a dog outfit.
Yeah, I would just make fun of her to her face all the time and talk shit about her. Anyway, this kid, he wants to be just like Toga. So does Utena, more or less. They both just want to be like the cool, charming prince who saves the day.
Is Toga a prince?
Well, she's a princely figure. So, of course, Nanami... Oh, and then he reveals... He's like, well, I guess I gotta put Nanami in danger again, because, I've just been causing all these situations so that I'd be able to sweep in and save her. And, of course, Nanami overhears this and is like, you're an idiot. They're like, no, Nanami, don't kill him. It's just his youth, he's just a kid. And she's like, I don't care. You made me diss my brother. You are now an enemy.
And then a kangaroo shows up.
So yeah, then a rampaging kangaroo
with
leaps out
gloves.
of a boxing match somewhere. I assume it was
had to have been with Toga, right?
I think he was just gonna fight this kangaroo anyway, and it just left the match and ran off after Nanami. So this kid takes a punch from the kangaroo. He tries to fight it back, and this is where Nanami has her first, maybe decent human moment.
She saves the kid.
She saves the kid. She's like, look, you need to run. You can't beat this guy. You're not my brother. He is him. You are you. But I need guys like you to be my slaves. So please, don't die yet.
You're correct. It's just really funny to hear you praise it.
Yeah, I love this scene. It's pretty funny. What are you showing me right now?
So right now I'm showing you a picture of Cillian Murphy as Robert Oppenheimer and his wife, who I can't remember the actress of. And it's quote tweeted over a tweet that says, yeah, Marx was right. Can I fuck you now?
I'm guessing that's their relationship.
Well, you see, his wife was a communist, and he ended up
I
losing his security clearance for it, and so that was a big thing at the time. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, so I don't know to what extent they go into this kind of thing. I just know it really happened.
So, Toga shows up and punches out the kangaroo.
In an incredibly Chad way.
No one learns anything from this situation.
Why would they? I think this show is pretty much just like all the characters going through the most emotional trauma you could possibly imagine for a person to go through, and then going like, yeah, but I wasn't the problem. I'm normal. What else is the problem?
Yeah, the kid's like, well, if I can't be her big brother, maybe I can join her family and be her little brother. Will you please adopt me? And Nanami ends the episode thinking, oh, Toga's the only one for me. Everyone else is worthless.
Strange.
And even Utena ends the episode thinking that Toga, he's kind of a sexy man.
Are they gonna bang?
I don't think so.
Does Utena bang?
Spoilers.
I'm not asking who. Does she bang?
Even answering that question, I feel like
it's spoilers. Okay, yeah. So that's yes, right? Yes, she bangs?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe she bangs. Everybody else bangs. I'll tell you that.
Sure. Who's the best ship from this show, do you think?
Toga and everybody.
No. I wasn't looking for something. I wasn't looking for a lame answer like that.
Utena and Anthy. I mean, the show is
that is
kind
the
of
thing.
built around their relationship at the core.
I want to ask you a question, but it's spoiler territory. I guess it's not totally. It kind of is, though, in the nature of the question. I know that Anthy has a brother.
Yes.
Does he become a character?
Yes.
Okay.
He becomes a very major character later on.
When?
I'm going to say probably after the second arc. So the first 13 episodes are the Student Council arc. The next 13 episodes are the Black Rose Society arc. And then there's a there's I think it's just called like the Revolution arc, and then like the last couple episodes are like the end cap.
Okay.
So, the show kind of changes tone a little bit in each arc, where it just kind of gets deeper and darker, like getting deeper and deeper into the characters' psyches until it gets to some really dark places. But for now, I mean, I guess it's already kind of dark, just in such a funny, tongue-in-cheek way. Like, this relationship is fucked up that Nanami has with this kid.
Every relationship in this show is currently fucked up.
Yeah, it's very much... Like I said when we were talking about Gundam, and how, like, with Witch from Mercury, like, I don't feel like I understand the themes on the level that I do this show. Like, this show is, like, toxic relationships, toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, toxic gender portrayal, like... Toxic relationships to gender on the parts of characters, projection, abuse, just like all kinds of stuff that is very, very apparent on the surface text, even before you get into all the symbolism and all the references and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's very loud about the point while also being just super weird and super entertaining, very surreal. Kind of hard to predict, even if I've seen the show. I still had moments in this episode I was just like, oh yeah, kangaroo.
Real quick. I'm on Utena's... Or not Utena.
You spoiling yourself right now?
Not really, not specifically. I was just kind of scrolling through to see when he gets introduced.
Yeah.
I'm on the personality page of Anthe's brother.
Yeah.
And it starts with these 3 words... Much like Lucifer, I'm not going to read past that because that's really funny.
That is really funny. But yeah, so I guess in a way I would actually say that when that guy shows up, we'll see that in a lot of ways he is for Toga what Toga is to this kid. Like, the even more cool,
so Toga
even
looks
more
up to him.
masculine guy. Yeah,
all right.
Like,
well, he's got purple hair too, so like that's a win for me.
But yeah, if the school tower is like a big dick, it's that guy's dick. That's the way I would describe his presence in the show.
Cool.
So anyways, yeah, this episode was hilarious and fucking strange, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's all the anime.
We've done it. We've talked about anime.
We watched anime. We talked about anime. Again, thank you everybody for your patience with the fact that these episodes still have not been edited. They've been recorded so late. I mean, I'm happy we're actually getting an episode out every week. That's like my bar minimum of like the show is alive. We got an episode out before the weekend was over. The show is alive.
I don't feel like this one needed too much editing either.
None of them need a lot of editing. It's just a matter of finding the time to do the editing of what is now 4 episodes that have not been edited, as well as, again, cutting together all
any editors out there, pay us so that you can edit our pod. No, I'm joking. This is a bit.
I will eventually probably hire editors to make this a lot easier, but for now, it's... we're still really trying to save money, so I'm not really trying to put a lot of money into it, but...
If we ever can, I'd like to bulk record these and then, fuck off for 3 months into the wilderness. That's kind of hard to do with a live format, actually.
There will always be new episodes of certain shows that we... But, I mean, we could fuck off in the woods for the 6 days in between
and
the
then
podcasts
just fuck right back out of the woods.
If we didn't have a fucking normal job.
Right.
So,
buy us an RV. We'd really like an RV and or a truck and a trailer. So, remember, when you want to give us money, you're giving money to the fact that we will make more content and be living a better life.
I'm really enjoying this meme.
Hold the fuck up, open parentheses, I'm the fuck up, open parentheses, hold me.
Yes, and it's a cute little possum.
Yeah. I am the fuck up. Please hold me.
All right.
Anime forever, I guess. Thank you, everyone who watched. Thanks.
Did you have anything else you wanted to go on?
I don't know. I'm now remembering. I was like, I was gonna be annoying and personal at the end of this show. And
were you actually planning to do that?
I was, but now I can't.
Do you want to? Do you want to get? Do you need something?
Nah. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. See you next week.
Anime forever.